Xueqi's Martial Arts Saga. Chapter 235. Swallow Pan Mountain Range. Late at night. The full moon hung in the sky, and moonlight spread out. It made this mountain range seem as if it was covered in a layer of silver. Everything seemed hazy and hazy. Suddenly, a hand stretched out from the soil. That hand was as pale as paper. At first glance, it looked like the hand of a dead person. After a few breaths, another head popped up from the soil. It was the face of a youth. It was also deathly pale, but there was a determination between his brows that his peers did not have. If someone was here, they would definitely think that it was a zombie. It was Qin Feiyang. He took in big breaths of fresh air. At the same time, through the moonlight, he scanned his surroundings, his eyes full of surprise. "I'm actually not dead?" After a long time, he muttered to himself and crawled out of the soil. Without his left hand, it was very difficult for him to crawl. This is still the Swallow Pan Mountain Range. But why am I not dead? Qin Feiyang furrowed his brows and looked inside his body. So that's how it is. Xueqi didn't kill me. When he saw the wound next to his heart, he suddenly came to a realization. That's not right. Xueqi didn't kill me, so he definitely didn't kill Wolf King and the others. He was refreshed and hurriedly swallowed a healing pill. Then, he used his true qi to throw away the soil under his feet. Wolf King quickly entered his line of sight. "White-eyed wolf!" He shouted and squatted beside Wolf King. He reached out and pressed his hand on its lower abdomen. Sure enough, there was a heartbeat. After dragging Wolf King out and giving it a top-grade healing pill, Qin Feiyang began to dig again. But after half an hour, he still couldn't find Ling Yunfei and the others. Where are they? He sat on the ground, and a terrifying thought crawled into his mind. Could it be that they were already smashed into pieces? He grabbed Wolf King and entered the castle. "Boss, are you okay? Do you know how we spent the past 5 days?" Fatso and Lu Hong immediately surrounded him and looked at him with concern. 5 days ago, they really wanted to go out and help, but they couldn't think of a way to leave the castle even after racking their brains. They could only watch helplessly and anxiously. Every minute and second of these 5 days was torture for them. 5 days have already passed? Qin Feiyang was stunned. He shook his head and said, "It's okay. It's just an arm." Lu Hong said angrily, "You call losing your arm fine?" Qin Feiyang said, "I'm really fine. 5 days ago, after I fainted, did you hear anything? We heard Xueqi say to let Luo Qingzhu live well. Then, I heard the sound of soil rolling. In the end, we could only faintly hear the sounds of battle. After a while, the outside world fell into a dead silence." Fatso said. The sound of rolling soil. Qin Feiyang pondered for a moment and said, "As expected, Xueqi seemed to be killing us on the surface, but he was actually protecting us." He appeared in the sinkhole with Fatso and Lu Hong and said, "Since Xueqi said to let Luo Qingzhu live well, then she should be here too. Quickly help find her." The two of them immediately began to search carefully. "Senior Jiang, are you still alive?" Qin Feiyang looked at the full moon and muttered to himself, his body exuding an unresolvable sadness. He knew very well in his heart. The chances of Xueqi being alive were too slim. Suddenly, he felt something in his arms. When he reached out to take a look, his body and mind trembled. He could tell at a glance that this was not his Quanquan bag. He hurriedly checked. The next moment, he took out a blood-stained shirt. "This is Xueqi's shirt." Qin Feiyang's gaze trembled. On it, he saw a few words in blood. He squatted on the ground and spread out the shirt. Under the hazy moonlight, he looked carefully. "Feiyang, when you wake up, I have already died at the hands of Xuan. In this life, I have no regrets. There is only one, Qingzhu and Quanqua. I hope that you can help me take care of the mother and daughter. The treasures in the Quanquan bag will be your reward." These were the words that Xueqi left for him. Qin Feiyang sat on the ground, looking at the bloody words. Tears couldn't help but fall from the corners of his eyes. His face, because of the pain, had been distorted. After a while, Fatso and Lu Hong walked over. When they saw the bloody words on the shirt, they also felt sad. "Have you found it?" Qin Feiyang asked in a hoarse voice. "No." The two of them shook their heads. "Continue to search, expand the range. You must find it. Qin Feiyang said. Okay. The two of them nodded and scattered to search. But after half an hour, they still found nothing. Fatso said, Boss, although it's hard for you to accept, I still have to say that Ling Yunfei and Luo Qingzhu are very likely to have been impossible. Zhang Zhengyi will definitely put us together. If they were eaten by the beasts, Wolf King and I will not be spared. What's more, there are no traces of the beasts around here. Qin Feiyang suddenly got up and roared in a low voice. Lu Hong suggested, let's wait for Brother Wolf to wake up and let it smell. Maybe it will find some clues. After Qin Feiyang calmed down, he led the two of them into the castle. Wolf King still showed no signs of waking up. Lu Hong said worriedly, what about your lost arm? Qin Feiyang said, the rebirth elixir can regrow an arm. It's just that I don't have the recipe for the rebirth elixir yet. But it's definitely in the elixir mantra, so don't worry. Fatso said, didn't Zhang Zhengyi give you his Chenkuan bag? Maybe there are rebirth elixirs in his Chenkuan bag. Let Fat Lord look for it. Qin Feiyang nodded and tossed the Chenkuan bag to Fatso. Fatso and Lu Hong quickly tidied it up. Qin Feiyang looked at the bloody clothes in his hands. The intense killing intent in his heart was like a torrent that crazily attacked his rationality. Fortunately, his willpower was strong enough. If it was anyone else, they would have been bedeviled long ago. Strange, why are there only some low-level elixirs in the Chenkuan bag? Fatso suddenly asked in bewilderment. That's normal. Although Zhang Zhengyi is the chief pavilion master of the Yan County and controls the precious treasure pavilions of all the cities, he is an upright person and would not stuff his own pockets. I'm afraid that the high-level elixirs are all in the vault of the precious treasure pavilions. Qin Feiyang said. That's true. Fatso nodded and continued, however, the potential elixir herbs that Zhang Zhengyi swept in the Pan County, and the herbs that won the competition are all in there. There should be a few 100 million gold coins. Qin Feiyang was not most concerned about the herbs and gold coins right now. Instead, he was most concerned about the safety of Ling Yunfei and the others. Fatso put away the Chenkuan bag and said, Lu Hong and I have already recorded down Jia He and the others' conversation. Should we contact Yan Nanshan and the others now? Record. Qin Feiyang's eyes lit up. Fatso chuckled. After following you for so long, we know this common sense. Well done. Qin Feiyang patted him on the shoulder and took out the image crystal, infusing his true qi into it. Instantly, the image crystal shone brightly. At the same time, the Martial King Palace of the Yan County. In Yan Nanshan's courtyard. Hallmaster, even if you beat me to death, I don't believe that Qin Feiyang would do such a thing. There must be something fishy about this. Elder Wan's angry voice came from the attic. In front of the tea table in the living room of the attic. Yan Nanshan and the beautiful woman were sitting on the chairs, their faces gloomy. Elder Wan was pacing back and forth beside the tea table, his old face full of anger. Yan Nanshan said angrily, Old Wan, can you stop for a moment? How can I stop? You actually said that Qin Feiyang and the others wanted to take those herbs for themselves. Is that possible? Elder Wan said angrily. We don't believe it either, but Zhang Zhengyi said it himself. Zhang Zhengyi has always been impartial. Since he said so, then it must be true. Yan Nanshan and the beautiful woman said one after another. Bas. At this time, Elder Wan's image crystal suddenly reacted. Who sent a message at this time? Don't you know that I'm very annoyed now? He frowned and took out the image crystal. An illusionary figure swiftly appeared. When they saw the shadow, the three giants suddenly stood up with ecstasy in their eyes. Because the shadow was Qin Feiyang. At the same time, in the castle, Qin Feiyang looked at the three and asked, Hallmaster, two elders, is there anyone else with you? The three shook their heads. Qin Feiyang, what's going on? Why did Zhang Zhengyi say that you wanted to take those herbs for yourself? What's wrong with your arm? The three hurriedly asked. What? Zhang Zhengyi has returned to Yen City. Qin Feiyang was very surprised. Fatso and Lu Hong also had a look of disbelief. Elder Wan said, Yes, not long ago, Jia He and the first prince also came back. That's not right. Why would Zhang Zhengyi go back? And with Jia He and the others? Qin Feiyang lowered his head and his mind was in a mess. A moment later, he raised his head and looked at Yan Nanshan and the others, asking, What did you guys say about taking the herbs for yourself? Elder Wan said, it was Zhang Zhengi who said it. He said that you and Luo Qingzhu wanted to embezzle the medicinal herbs we won this time, but he discovered it. So, he put righteousness before family and killed you and Luo Qingzhu. Yan Nanshan said, he also said that you destroyed those herbs. Is that true? Elder Ji chimed in, quickly tell us honestly, did you do that? Do you have those medicinal herbs with you now? Qin Feiyong closed his eyes and calmed himself down. He slowly thought about it. Yan Nanshan and the others did not rush him either. A few dozen breaths later, Qin Feiyong's body shuddered and his eyes sprang open. 2 brilliant glows burst out from his eyes. He looked at the 3 of them once more and nodded. The herbs are indeed with me. What? The 3 of them were startled and slumped in their seats. So, Zhang Zhengi was telling the truth. Qin Feiyong continued, but Zhang Zhengi gave them to me personally. Hallmaster, elders, you must be mentally prepared for what I'm going to say next. The 3 of them exchanged glances, their eyes filled with doubt. Yan Nanshan said, go on. Qin Feiyong said, the real Zhang Zhengi has been killed. If I'm not wrong, the current Zhang Zhengi in Yen City must be Xueqi in disguise. That was because Xueqi's strength was similar to Zhang Zhengi's. Only by impersonating him would he not be discovered. The 3 of them stood up in unison and looked at Qin Feiyong in disbelief. It's like this. Qin Feiyong narrated the situation from 5 days ago in detail. Thereafter. Chapter 236. Damn those bastards. They're insane. I'm going to kill them now and take Xuan down. Yan Nanshan was furious. Palace Master, please calm down. Elder Wan and Elder Ji held him back. This was a serious matter and they needed to think about it carefully. If it was just Qin Feiyong's words, he would not believe it. It was too unbelievable. Zhang Jingyi was Xuan in disguise. Jia He, Patriarch Lin, and the first prince had all joined the blood-slaying palace. Any one of these things could cause a huge commotion. But people would lie, but the image crystal would never lie. Qin Feiyong said, Palace Master, the 2 elders are right. We can't rush this matter. Yan Nanshan said angrily. Then what should we do? Are we just going to watch them do whatever they want in Yen City? I suspect that they're plotting something big. If we attack them now, we'll alert them. Most importantly, there's a combat emperor hiding in the dark. If we don't find him, there'll be endless trouble. Qin Feiyong said solemnly. Yes, we have to find this person first. Palace Master, you must hold it in. Even if we attack, we have to lure Xuan out of the city first. Otherwise, the people of Yen City will all die in our battle. Elder Wan and Elder Nan said. Zhang Zhengi has been a righteous person all his life, but he was harmed by these bastards. How despicable! Yan Nanshan cried. Among the leaders of Yen City, Yan Nanshan had the best relationship with Zhang Zhengi. When he heard the bad news about Zhang Zhengi, he could not control his anger. Fortunately, Elder Ji and Elder Li were there to persuade him, allowing him to quickly calm down. Phew! Taking a few deep breaths, Yan Nanshan looked at Qin Feiyong and said, Don't go anywhere. I'll come and get you now. No. Qin Feiyong waved his hand and said, Palace Master, you can't leave Yen City. Otherwise, Xuan will take the opportunity to attack the Martial Imperial Hall. Yan Nanshan frowned and said, Then should I send Elder Wan and Elder Ji? That won't do either. The ferocious beasts in the central region are too powerful. Back then, even Zhang Zhengi trembled with fear. It's too dangerous for the 2 elders to come here. Qin Feiyong shook his head. Then what should we do? Yan Nanshan and the others frowned. Don't worry, Elder. I'm confident that I can make it back to the county of Yen safely. Remember, don't ask the first prince and the others. The first prince and the others have just joined the Bloodslaughter Palace, so they definitely don't know who the other war emperor is. Qin Feiyong said. The 3 of them nodded. They all knew this. Qin Feiyong said, There is one more thing. This disciple is somewhat worried about Luo Chenxue and Lu Ji. I hope that Palace Master and the 2 elders can protect them well. Lu Ji was Ling Yunfei's mother. The beautiful woman smiled and said, Don't worry, we will make the appropriate arrangements. You have to be careful too. We will wait for your return. Qin Feiyong felt warmth in his heart. No matter what the result was, at least the three of them did not choose to believe Xueqi's slanderous words immediately. This was the great trust they had in him. Elder Wan asked, "Should we tell Steward Li about this?" Qin Feiyong said, "Steward Li is experienced and wise. We can tell him and let him help us investigate. But the others, including Prince Yan and Ma Cheng, cannot be told." He asked again, "Palace Master, you know the war emperors in the county of Yan very well. Who do you think is most likely to join the blood slaughter palace?" After a moment of silence, Yan Nanshan shook his head and said, "This is not a child's play. I dare not make any wild guesses lest it disturbs everyone's judgment." Qin Feiyong nodded. This was a very responsible attitude. However, with Jia He and Patriarch Lin's exposure, the list of possible targets had been greatly reduced. Yan Nanshan, Elder Wan and Steward Li could be excluded. That left only Ma Cheng, Elder He, Prince Yan and the Grand Commander of the royal family. Qin Feiyong and the three of them discussed for a while and turned off the image crystal. Lu Hong was puzzled. "Why don't you ask the people from the state capital to help? Even if the people from the state capital come, they might not be able to find out who the other war emperor is. If we don't remove the roots when cutting the weeds, they will grow again when the spring breeze blows. Anyway, in Xueqi's eyes, the boss is already dead. They will show their tails sooner or later. We just have to wait quietly." But Fat Lord is really looking forward to their expressions when they see us return alive. Fatso sneered. "Oh well." All of a sudden, a wolf howl sounded. Wolf King jumped up and scanned the surroundings. His eyes were shining with a terrifying ferocity. Qin Feiyong said, "It's over. Don't worry." "It's over?" Wolf King was stunned. He lay on the ground weakly and said coldly, "That damn bastard. Brother Wolf will kick his balls sooner or later. Let's not talk about this first. Come out with me and find Ling Yunfei and the others." Qin Feiyong waved his hand and appeared outside with two people and a wolf. "They're not dead?" Wolf King was surprised. "Zhang Zhengyi didn't kill us. He just seriously injured us and put us in a coma so that we could escape from Xueqi's claws. But when I woke up, I only found you. I didn't see Ling Yunfei and the others." Qin Feiyong looked worried. Wolf King didn't ask any more questions and sniffed carefully. A moment later, it entered the sinkhole and its eyes lit up. "There's the smell of blood here. It should be here." "No. We've looked for it," Fatso and Lu Hong said. Qin Feiyong also said, "We've been buried here for the past 5 days." Wolf King sniffed again and shook his head. "Their smell is very faint. It's almost impossible to detect. There are only 2 possibilities. Either they've left or they're dead." "Left? Impossible, because they can't leave us alone. It's even more impossible that they're dead. If they're dead, at least their bodies are still here." What's more, Fatso and Lu Hong didn't hear anything in the castle. Qin Feiyong frowned and was quite annoyed. "That's strange." Wolf King's eyes were full of doubts. 5 days had passed, and most of the smell had dissipated. It was not realistic to find any clues. Lu Hong said, "Why don't we split up again?" Fatso said, "Boss, if we can't find them, Fat Lord, I hope you can accept this fact." Qin Feiyong nodded. Gradually, the sky was white, and the morning sun gradually rose. The 3 men and 1 wolf turned the area upside down. In the end, they still found nothing. Qin Feiyong stood at the top of a big tree, looking down, his eyes dead. Fatso, Lu Hong, and Wolf King stood below, looking at Qin Feiyong with a worried face. Although there were many doubts, there was only one explanation if they couldn't find anyone or their bodies. Ling Yunfei and others were probably dead. After an unknown amount of time, Qin Feiyong jumped down from the tree and landed steadily on the ground. There was no anger or killing intent on his face, nor any heroic words. He looked extremely calm. But the more calm he was, the more worried Fatso, Lu Hong, and Wolf King were. "Boss, are you okay?" Fatso asked cautiously. "I'm fine." Qin Feiyong shook his head. His tone was also so calm, without the slightest hint of sadness. "Are you really okay?" Fatso asked. "I'm really okay." Qin Feiyong shook his head helplessly and said with a faint smile, "Let's go." After that. Thus, He took the lead and walked forward. Fatso hurriedly said, "Boss, you." Lu Hong reached out to stop him. "Don't ask. If you continue to ask, the disguise on his face will be torn apart by you. Since he wants to pretend to be free and easy, we might as well help him. Maybe this will make him feel better." Lu Hong sighed. Fatso and Wolf King nodded. 2 people and 1 wolf followed silently. Roar! Chirp! Not long after, they came to a small hillside. In front of them was an endless primitive forest. The roars of various ferocious beasts filled every place, causing people to be intimidated at first glance. "You guys wait here," Qin Feiyong said without looking back. Then he rushed into the wild forest. Roar! A leopard-shaped beast rushed out, opened its bloody mouth, revealing white fangs, and pounced towards Qin Feiyong. Rushing thunder kill fist. Qin Feiyong roared and sent the ferocious beast flying with a punch. Crack! The beast broke a big tree as thick as a thigh and smashed into a hard blue stone, dying on the spot. Qin Feiyong used the shifting smoke steps, like a human-shaped tyrannosaurus. He rushed into the depths of the forest. All kinds of beasts pounced out. Moreover, they were basically all martial ancestor-level beasts. Qin Feiyong's face was cold as he crazily fought with them. All kinds of perfect martial skills were performed to perfection. True qi traversing the sky. Blood. Dyeing the ground red. Fatso sighed. "Boss must be feeling very uncomfortable." Lu Hong said, "There doesn't seem to be any War King level beasts nearby. Let him vent." The War King level beasts had been scared to the point of fleeing as early as 5 days ago. So, relatively speaking, this place was still very safe. Just like that, Qin Feiyong fought until noon. His entire body was covered in wounds and dripping with blood. Bang! Finally, he collapsed from exhaustion. Lying on the ground, he gasped for breath. Ow! Wolf King let out a wolf howl, and its ferocious might spread in all directions. The ferocious beasts that were surrounding Qin Feiyong immediately dispersed. 2 men and a wolf ran over. Wolf King grinned. "Are you comfortable now?" Qin Feiyong did not make a sound. He looked at the sky in a daze. After a long time, he got up, took a highest-grade healing pill, and looked at the vast forest, his eyes shining. Finally, he made a shocking decision and roared in high spirits. "Let's kill our way back to Yen County." "Kill our way back? Are you courting death?" Fatso was so scared that he trembled, his face instantly pale. Was this guy crazy? Not to mention the War Emperor-level beasts in the central area. Even if they only met 1 War King-level beast, they would only be tortured. This is a good opportunity to gain experience. All of you, get your spirits up. Qin Feiyong laughed out loud, and took the lead to run forward. Haha, brother likes it. Wolf King laughed wildly, let out a loud and clear wolf howl, and chased after him with a fierce aura. Wait for us. Fatso and Lu Hong hurriedly chased after him. Following these 2 devil incarnate who were not afraid of death, they were also filled with helplessness. Actually, this was the reason why Qin Feiyong did not let Elder Wan and Elder Ji pick him up. Chapter 237. Half a month later. On the top of a mountain that was more than 100 feet tall, 3 people and a wolf stood side by side. They were all covered in wounds. Half a month of life and death experience had made Qin Feiyong's fighting instinct more and more amazing. Although he only had 1 arm left, his methods were sharper than before. Moreover, just a moment ago, his cultivation had made another breakthrough. He had stepped into the 5-star martial ancestor realm. Fatso and Lu Hong were already numb. It was really infuriating to compare oneself to others. They were helpless when they met this abnormal person. However, they also had a good harvest. In half a month, although it was basically Qin Feiyong and Wolf King who were the main attackers, and they helped from the side, they slowly developed a fighting awareness. It wouldn't be long before they could have fighting instincts. Fighting awareness and fighting instinct were not the same concept. Fighting awareness represented rich experience in actual combat. When facing opponents of the same level, the chances of winning were higher. Fighting instinct referred to the reflexes of the limbs. When fighting, one didn't need to think at all. The body would make the most correct counterattack at the first moment. Moreover, the 2 of them had also stepped into the 9-star martial master realm. As for Wolf King, although his cultivation had not improved, His fighting instinct was almost on par with Qin Feiyong. Fatso clenched his hands and said excitedly, "Boss, Fat Lord has been waiting for this moment for a long time. How could he not be excited when he could open the door of potential? As long as the door of potential was opened, his cultivation speed would soar. Although he might not be able to keep up with Qin Feiyong's speed, it was more than enough to surpass those martial arts geniuses. Don't be happy too early." Lu Hong ruthlessly poured a bucket of cold water. It was true that he had broken through to the 9-star martial master realm, but without a war emperor by his side, how could he open the door of potential? "I have already thought about this problem. Let's go find the war emperor level beasts in the central area. Let them help." Qin Feiyong laughed. Fatty chuckled and said, "Boss has the foresight after all. Will they help us? Besides, even if they help us, I'm afraid we won't be able to reach the central area." Lu Hong was deeply worried. At this point, the auras of the ferocious beasts he could sense were all unfathomable. Without a doubt, they were all Battle King level beasts. If one wanted to pass through this area and enter the central area, they would have to be able to fly. Even if he flew, he might not be able to fly over, because there were many ferocious birds that could also fly. "Can you have some confidence in me?" Qin Feiyong looked at Lu Hong helplessly. "Why does this little girl always like to pour cold water on me?" Next, he sent Fatso and Lu Hong into the castle. Then, he and Wolf King sneaked toward the central area. That was right. They were sneaking into the central area. Although he was bold, he knew his own limits. Facing a combat king-level savage beast, it was impossible for him to win. Wolf King's nose was very sharp. He could smell the scent of a beast in advance. If they encountered powerful existences, they would take a detour. Or he could hide in the castle and waste time with the other party. As such, along the way, there were no mishaps. 5 days later, Wolf King followed the aura and brought Qin Feiyong to the foot of a giant mountain. Wolf King looked around sneakily and didn't find any ferocious beasts. He secretly breathed a sigh of relief. "Little Qin Zi, there is a very terrifying aura on the top of the mountain. Are you ready?" Qin Feiyong nodded. One man and one wolf immediately set off and climbed toward the top of the mountain. On the way, they didn't encounter a single ferocious beast. There wasn't even a single bug. There was dead silence. From this, Qin Feiyong judged that the ferocious beast above must be a beast emperor, because other ferocious beasts didn't dare to step into the beast emperor's territory. Half an hour passed. One man and one wolf finally climbed to the top of the mountain. As far as the eye could see, ancient trees towered into the sky, green weeds were extremely dense, and wildflowers were blooming, exuding an intoxicating fragrance. It was quiet and peaceful here. However, one man and one wolf's hearts were in their throats. Because dozens of meters away, there was a huge black round stone with a surface as smooth as a mirror. And on the round stone, there was a ferocious bird lying on its stomach. Its shape was like a falcon, but its head was like a lion's. Its head was more than 10 meters long, and its black feathers were like pieces of silk, flowing with layers of gorgeous brilliance. Lion-headed eagle. Qin Feiyong swallowed his saliva and spat out the name with difficulty. Lion-headed eagle, with the body of an eagle and the head of a lion, was extremely ferocious. Qin Feiyong didn't expect to meet such a terrible guy. The lion-headed eagle also opened its eyes and looked at the man and the wolf as if it saw a plate of delicious food. Its eyes were shining brightly. "Sorry to disturb you. We'll leave immediately." Qin Feiyong waved his hand, winked at Wolf King, and hurriedly slipped away. Whoosh! But just as they turned around, a strong wind blew on the mountain peak. The lion-headed eagle spread its wings and stood in front of the man and the wolf. "Wouldn't it be a waste not to eat the food delivered to my door?" The lion-headed eagle smiled cruelly. "You dare to eat me? Believe it or not, I'll destroy you." The Wolf King stood up like a human and shouted at the lion-head eagle. Qin Feiyong's face twitched. This ruffian wolf still didn't understand the situation? Who was going to destroy who now? The lion-headed eagle looked at Wolf King strangely and said playfully, "Do you know my strength?" Wolf King said arrogantly, "Bastard, I don't care what your strength is. I'll give you a chance. Be my little follower, and I'll spare your life." Qin Feiyong was stunned. Where did this guy get the courage to be so arrogant in front of an emperor-level beast? To tell you the truth, I'm a peerless wolf god. I just sealed my cultivation and came to the mortal world to gain experience, so don't provoke me. Otherwise, I'll fry and braise you. Wolf King looked like a fraud as he boasted. Not to mention, he really had the aura of an overlord. You're courting death. The lion-headed eagle was furious. A terrifying aura rushed towards the man and the wolf. Obviously, it didn't believe Wolf King's nonsense. If it was really a peerless wolf god, why would it sneak up? If you want to brag, you have to look at who the target is. Qin Feiyong grabbed Wolf King and hid in the castle without hesitation. Wolf King sighed. It seems that my overlord aura is not enough. It needs to be tempered. Overlord aura? It should be the aura of a king. Qin Feiyong rolled his eyes. Outside, the lion-headed eagle was surprised. A moment ago, it was still in its line of sight. How did it disappear into thin air? Could it be that it had misjudged and was really a peerless wolf god? Shwa! Qin Feiyong appeared out of thin air once again, and hurriedly cupped his hands. Senior, we came here without any ill intentions. We just want to ask you for a small favor. The lion-headed eagle mocked. Do you think this emperor is such a kind-hearted person? Human? Qin Feiyong was startled, and simply went along with the lion-headed eagle's intentions, and laughed. Senior is an otherworldly expert. You definitely won't help small fries like us. That's right. The lion-headed eagle opened its mouth and said, Quickly come into this emperor's mouth. Only a ghost would go into your mouth. Qin Feiyong muttered, his face twitching non-stop. After all, it was a war emperor-level beast. Could it not be so humorous? You don't know what's good for you. The lion-headed eagle's gaze turned cold and became extremely sharp. Boom! The terrifying might once again enveloped Qin Feiyong. Qin Feiyong was filled with helplessness, and could only hide in the castle once again. Fatso said with a face of disappointment. Looks like it won't help us. Quickly think of a way to leave this place. It's easy to come in, but difficult to get out. Qin Feiyong shook his head. He lowered his head and pondered for a moment. His eyes suddenly lit up, and he appeared outside once again. Seeing Qin Feiyong come and go without a trace, the murderous light in the lion-headed eagle's eyes dissipated and was replaced by curiosity, and said, You human, are quite interesting. Qin Feiyong said, Senior, as long as you agree to help, other than letting me into your mouth, you can give me any conditions. The lion-headed eagle was stunned, and asked, Are you sure it's any condition? Qin Feiyong nodded. The lion-headed eagle's eyes flickered, as if it was thinking about something. A moment passed. It suddenly said, All right, you have to promise this emperor to go to the ruins. Not only will this emperor promise to help you, but I will also send you out of the Swallow Pan mountain range. The ruins. Hearing these 4 words, Qin Feiyong's body and mind trembled, and his face turned somewhat pale. Seeing his reaction, the lion-headed eagle asked in surprise. You also know about the ruins? I've heard of it, but I've never been there. It's said to be a place of exile. Qin Feiyong frowned. The lion-headed eagle said, A small martial sect actually knows about that kind of place. How unbelievable. Qin Feiyong shook his head. Senior, you should change your condition. It's easy to enter that place, but difficult to leave. I don't want to take the risk. That's the only condition. If you don't agree, you can forget about leaving the Swallow Pan mountain range for the rest of your lives. Don't doubt this emperor's words. As the ruler of the Swallow Pan mountain range, it's easy for this emperor to kill you. The lion-headed eagle turned hostile just like that. It also revealed a very important piece of information. The ruler of the Swallow Pan mountain range. Qin Feiyong even had the heart to die. The first war emperor-level beast he met was actually the emperor of the Swallow Pan mountain range? Why wasn't he so lucky normally? Beast Emperor, allow this junior to discuss this. Qin Feiyong cupped his hands and said, then entered the ancient castle. He stared fiercely at Wolf King and roared. How did you lead the way? You actually barged into the lair of the Swallow Pan mountain range's Beast Emperor. Aren't you courting death? Wolf King was also about to cry. This luck was too heaven-defying. Lu Hong covered her mouth and laughed, then asked Qin Feiyong. What kind of place is the ruins that makes you so afraid? Qin Feiyong said in a deep voice. That place is countless times more terrifying than the Swallow Pan mountain range and the Death Desert. The 2 people and the wolf looked at each other in shock. In their eyes, the Swallowpan Mountain Range and the Swallowpan Mountain Range were already dangerous places that they couldn't easily step into. And the ruins was actually even more terrifying than these two places? Everyone knows that the Great Qin Empire has 9 states and 18 counties, but there are some places that are rarely known. One of them is the ruins. Because not only is the environment of the ruins extremely harsh, life is also very cruel. According to what I know, everyone who lives in the ruins is a criminal who has committed all kinds of evil, and their hands are stained with blood. It wouldn't even be an exaggeration to say that it's a place where people eat people. Chapter 238. Cannibalism. Wolf King, Fatso, and Lu Hong were shocked. The impact of these 3 words was too great. What kind of environment would there be cannibalism? It was really creepy. Fatso frowned and said, "Why didn't the emperor order to eradicate such a place? I heard that the ruins are not in the imperial capital, nor in the state capital. It is located between Bai County and Shi County of the 18 counties." Qin Feiyong explained. The plate of the Great Qin Empire was centered around the imperial capital. The 9 state capitals surrounded the imperial capital. And the 18 counties were like a circle, surrounding the 9 state capitals. The ruins and the 18 counties were side by side, and the area was not smaller than any of them. Although the ruins were full of heinous people, there was a rule that anyone could go in, but once they went in, they could never come out. If anyone dared to sneak out, the only outcome they would face was death. From the beginning of the Great Qin Empire to the present, no one had ever successfully escaped from the ruins. So, whether it was the state capitals or the imperial capital, they did not ask about it. To put it bluntly, this place had been abandoned and left to fend for itself. After listening to this, Fatso firmly shook his head and said, "This damn place, we absolutely can't go." "You really can't go, because your body is too fat. Enough for them to eat a full meal." Lu Hong teased. Fatso's face darkened. "I want to go and take a look." Wolf King's eyes rolled around, full of curiosity. Fatso shuddered and hurriedly said, "Master Wolf, calm down. Let's think about how to deal with that old devil's one." Lu Hong sighed and said, "It's not up to us whether we go or not, unless we continue to waste time like this with Lionhead Eagle. Then let's waste time. Let's see who can last longer." Fatty had an indifferent expression on his face. Suddenly, his eyes flashed, and he said with a flattering smile, "Boss, you even know the situation of the Great Qin Empire. Looks like your identity isn't simple." Qin Feiyong rolled his eyes and quickly said, "Actually, when I was young, I also wanted to go to the ruined land, but for some reason, I couldn't do it. Wait." Fatso's expression changed abruptly, and he hurriedly said, "Boss, you must think twice before you act. That place is equivalent to the 18 levels of hell. We absolutely can't touch it. Look at you. What a disgrace." Wolf King's eyes were filled with contempt. "Fat Lord is so useless. There's nothing I can do about it." Fatso's fearless attitude made Brother Wolf gnash his teeth in anger. "I'm just saying." Qin Feiyong smiled and left the castle, looking for an opportunity to leave the mountain peak. However, the Lionhead Eagle seemed to know that he was unable to move and had been guarding outside. Seeing Qin Feiyong come out, the Lionhead Eagle's huge pupils flickered with an astonishing cold light, and said, "How was the discussion?" "I'll tell you clearly, you have to go today even if you don't want to." Qin Feiyong smiled and said, "Senior Beast Emperor, I still have some things to take care of. When I'm done, I'll promise you to go to the ruined land. How about it?" "All right." A hint of playfulness flashed across the Lionhead Eagle's eyes. "So straightforward?" Qin Feiyong was stunned. He couldn't care so much, he had to slip away first. Without hesitation, he jumped off the mountain peak and ran towards the foot of the mountain. It actually didn't chase after him? When he was halfway up the mountain, Qin Feiyong looked up and saw that the Lionhead Eagle was indifferent. His face was full of surprise. When did such a ferocious beast become so easy to talk to? But suddenly, the Lionhead Eagle suddenly let out a roar that spread in all directions. It was like a lion's roar, but also like an eagle's cry. In an instant, the fierce beasts within a radius of dozens of miles turned into a torrent and rushed over. Wherever they passed, the trees were broken, the short mountains collapsed, and they were trampled beyond recognition. They were all War Chief Realm fierce beasts. Moreover, at the same time, There were also more than a dozen terrifying auras that soared into the sky. Following closely, more than a dozen ferocious beasts rushed out from the mountain range and flew through the air like lightning. Fierce beasts that could fly without a doubt, were all existences of the war chief realm. Qin Feiyang slammed on the brakes and stopped beside a big tree. His gaze pierced through the branches and looked towards the sky. His face was immediately filled with shock. With a roar, it surged in all directions. The lion-head eagle was really the emperor of the Swallow Pan mountain range. This was troublesome. The white-eyed wolf had led him into a pit. Sigh. He let out a long sigh and returned to the peak of the mountain with a heart full of helplessness. Yo, didn't you have something to do? Why are you back? The lion-head eagle had a playful tone. Senior Beast Emperor, you can't play like this. Qin Feiyang glanced at the War Emperor realm fierce beasts that were flying over, and looked at the lion-head eagle with resentment. Then tell me, do you want to go to the ruins? The lion-head eagle said. Qin Feiyang frowned. Can I ask first, why do you want to go to the ruins? The lion-head eagle let out another roar. The beast tide that was surging over from all directions stopped in unison. Qin Feiyang heaved a sigh of relief. Facing so many powerful fierce beasts, he was more or less a little nervous. But then, he was surprised to find that the lion-head eagle's gaze had actually become gentle. It was as if he was immersed in the past. A moment later, its gaze once again became incomparably sharp as it said, "This emperor wants you to save someone." Save someone? I'm only a 5-star martial ancestor realm. Even if I go to the ruins, I might not succeed. Senior, why do you still insist on letting me go? Moreover, there are many people who are stronger than me. Why don't you look for them? Qin Feiyang's face was filled with confusion. With your little strength, you are indeed not up to par. But you have something that others don't have, and that is the treasure that you are hiding in. This emperor doesn't know if you can succeed or not, but this emperor wants to give it a try. Of course, this emperor will not let you run for nothing. If you successfully save her, this emperor will unconditionally promise you a promise. The lion-head eagle said. Qin Feiyang's face froze. Who exactly was the person he wanted to save? Was it worth the lion-head eagle to pay such a price? After a moment of silence, Qin Feiyang asked, "If I say, help me flatten Yan County, do you dare?" The lion-head eagle said, "As long as you can succeed, this emperor will do as you wish. If you don't believe me, this emperor can swear." I'll go. Qin Feiyang was shocked. One had to know. The destruction of a county was not a child's play. It would directly alarm the imperial capital. At that time, what awaited the lion-head eagle was destruction. As a beast emperor, the lion-head eagle must also know this. Yet, he had actually agreed to it without any hesitation at all. This was incredible. The lion-head eagle sighed. To be honest, the person this emperor wants to save is this emperor's master. This emperor has been separated from her for more than 20 years. Master. Qin Feiyang was shocked once again. After being separated for more than 20 years, if it was a human, this person would have long been forgotten. However, not only did the lion-head eagle not, but it also wanted to save her. Sure enough, beasts valued emotions more than humans. But it couldn't rush to its head just because it was moved and run into danger. Qin Feiyang's mind moved. Wolf King, Fatso, and Lu Hong appeared out of thin air. Qin Feiyang briefly explained the situation and asked, "What do you think?" "Go, of course we have to go," Wolf King said without hesitation. Fatso shook its head and said, "We can't go because we don't know if it's true or if it's lying to gain sympathy. Moreover, Fat Lord doesn't dare to believe its promise." The lion-head eagle glared and said angrily, "This emperor swears that if there is half a lie, the heavens will punish me and I will never be reincarnated." Fatso said disdainfully, "Fat Lord swears every day, but I don't see him being punished by the heavens." The lion-head eagle suddenly became anxious. "Fatso, don't be so aggressive." Lu Hong frowned. She looked at Qin Feiyang and said, "On the contrary, I believe that what it said is true. Besides, we don't have a choice right now. Isn't that right? If you don't go, you will die. Do you want to die?" Wolf King looked at Fatso and said. Fatso's neck shrank. Qin Feiyang pondered for a while, then sighed. "Lu Hong is right, We really don't have a choice. It can stay here for more than 20 years, we simply can't outlast it. In another 20 years, I'm afraid we will all turn into ashes. Lu Hong smiled bitterly. Qin Feiyong gritted his teeth and said, then let's just take the risk. Anyway, I am also a little curious about the ruins. It's over, they've all gone crazy. Fatso muttered to himself, his face pale. Thank you. The lion-head eagle was overjoyed. The murderous light in its eyes and the murderous aura exuding from its body finally disappeared completely and was replaced by gratitude. Qin Feiyong looked a little helpless. Senior Beast Emperor, although I agreed to go, this place is thousands of miles away from the ruins. The journey is also full of danger. With our strength and speed, I'm afraid we will die on the way before we reach the ruins. Qin Feiyong frowned. It's too simple. The lion-head eagle was full of confidence. Look what's in the sky. Fatso pointed to the sky. Qin Feiyong and the others looked up. There was nothing? It's cows. The sky is full of cows flying. Fatso rolled his eyes. Obviously, he was mocking the lion-head eagle. Anyway, he didn't want to go. He would rather die here than go to that damn place where people eat people. There was a trace of helplessness in the lion-head eagle's eyes. A light flashed in front of it, and a palm-sized light gate appeared in their sight out of thin air. Teleportation gate. Qin Feiyong's eyes lit up. With the teleportation gate, they could easily reach the ruins. But how could the lion-head eagle have a teleportation gate? Could it be that it had been to the prefecture before? As if seeing Qin Feiyong's doubts, the lion-head eagle said, my master and I used to stay in the prefecture for a period of time. Fatso said, then your master should also have a teleportation gate. Why don't you just let her teleport back directly? Why do you have to go through so much trouble? Qin Feiyong glanced at him and explained, there are some places where you can't use the teleportation gate. The ruins are one of them. You even know this? The lion-head eagle looked at Qin Feiyong in surprise. Where did this human come from? Why did it feel like there was nothing he didn't know? Hearsay. Qin Feiyong vaguely replied and asked, what does your master look like? In front of the lion-head eagle, the battle chi surged, and a beautiful figure quickly condensed. Damn, a beauty. Chapter 239. That beautiful figure was about 1.75 meters tall. Her two slender legs made her look incomparably tall. Her skin was like congealed fat, delicate and tender. Her facial features were exquisite and translucent. Her jade-like big eyes carried a trace of soul-stealing charm. She was a peerless beauty. Any man who saw her would be infatuated and driven crazy. Even Qin Feiyong's eyes were filled with amazement. As for Wolf King, he didn't feel anything at all. Perhaps the standards of beauty of beasts and humans were different. But Lu Hong was a little jealous in her heart. She's beautiful, but this was her appearance from 20 years ago. Who knows what she looks like now? Every woman had a heart that loved beauty. Seeing a beautiful woman, they would naturally feel uncomfortable in their hearts. Lion-headed eagle said, with master's cultivation, there shouldn't be much change. Is she very strong? Fatso was surprised. Aren't you talking nonsense? It's an existence of the War Emperor realm that dominates the Swallow Pan mountain range, let alone its master. Qin Feiyong rolled his eyes at Fatso. Lion-headed eagle said, now tell me, what do you want this emperor to help you with? Fatso and Lu Hong immediately became excited. Qin Feiyong took out 2 potential pills and handed them to Fatso and Lu Hong. He said cautiously, opening the gate of potential is not a child's play. If you can't hold on, you will die on the spot. Are you ready? The two nodded and each took a potential pill. When they saw the pain that Qin Feiyong and Wolf King suffered when they opened the gate of potential in the square outside the palace, they were already mentally prepared. Qin Feiyong looked at the two deeply, turned his head to look at Lion-headed eagle, and said, Senior Beast Emperor, you only need to release your pressure. Lion-headed eagle said in surprise, wait, you mean, they want to use this emperor's pressure to open the gate of potential? Qin Feiyong nodded. Lion-head eagle said, it's impossible to succeed. I advise you to give up. Fatso and Lu Hong looked at each other and directly threw the potential pill into their mouths. Once he consumed the potential pill, there was no turning back. because if they didn't clench their teeth and persevere, the energy of the potential pill would tear their bodies apart. Qin Feiyong and Wolf King quickly retreated to the side. Senior, let's start. Even if I fail, I will die with no regrets. Fatso looked at the lion-head eagle and pleaded. Boom. The lion-headed eagle didn't try to persuade him any further. Instead, it unleashed all of its pressure, and it surged toward the two of them. This pressure. Qin Feiyong was greatly shocked. The lion-head eagle's strength was actually not weaker than Yan Nanshan's. It was even stronger. Ah! At the same time, Fatso and Lu Hong screamed with heart-wrenching pain. Blood spurted out from all the pores on his body. In an instant, it was as if they were bathed in blood. It was a tragic sight. Boom! About 10 breaths passed. A muffled explosion sounded from within their bodies at the same time. A dazzling white light bloomed from their chests. Senior Beast Emperor, quickly retract your aura. Qin Feiyong hurriedly shouted. When the lion-headed eagle retracted its pressure, a man and a wolf quickly ran over. At the same time, Fatso and Lu Hong were lying on the ground, panting heavily. Their faces were filled with fear. Although it was only a short 10 breaths, it felt like a few centuries to them. Qin Feiyong ran to the two of them. Without saying a word, he took out 2 supreme-grade healing pills and fed them to them. How do you feel? The Wolf King said with a gloating smile. Lu Hong smiled bitterly. I feel like I walked through the gates of hell. Fatso said, if it wasn't for the fact that it can open the door of potential, Fat Lord really wouldn't want to suffer like this. Only now did they understand the pain that Qin Feiyong and Wolf King had faced back then. Wolf King chuckled. Since it's so painful, then forget about the second level of the door of potential. No. Fatso and Lu Hong said in unison without hesitation. Qin Feiyong shook his head and laughed. The pain of opening the second level is several times more intense than the first. Rest well for a few days and be mentally prepared. The two of them nodded. Did it really work? The lion-headed eagle floating at the side was filled with disbelief. Until now, it still couldn't accept this fact. Qin Feiyong stood up and looked at the lion-headed eagle. Senior Beast Emperor, before going to the ruins, I want to make a trip to King Pan City. Why are you going to King Pan City? You want to burn the bridge after crossing the river? The lion-headed eagle's gaze became extremely sharp. It thought that after helping Fatso and Lu Hong break through the warrior realm, Qin Feiyong was going to act shamelessly. Because as long as they reached King Pan City, it couldn't do anything to Qin Feiyong. Qin Feiyong smiled bitterly. Senior, you think too much. I'm going to King Pan City purely to buy some herbs. Herbs? The lion-headed eagle was stunned and asked, You're an alchemist? Qin Feiyong nodded. The lion-headed eagle pondered for a moment and said, You can go to King Pan City, but I want to go with you. I'm not burning the bridge after crossing the river. Because when they've rested, they still need your help to open the second level of the door of potential. Moreover, you're so big. My hiding treasure can't fit you at all. How can you go with me? Qin Feiyong was helpless. Was he so untrustworthy? You want to open the second level? The lion-headed eagle was shocked, but it sneered. When you enter King Pan City, you can ask other combat emperors for help. Human boy, you really have a good plan. You want me to send you back to King Pan City, and then you get rid of me. You're really smart. Unfortunately, I'm not so easy to fool. The lion-headed eagle's eyes flickered with an astonishing light. Qin Feiyong was a little annoyed. Fine, you can go with us, but the premise is that you can't attract other people's attention. That's simple. The lion-headed eagle shook its body and turned into the size of a palm. It was like an owl flapping its wings. It was less ferocious than before and more docile. It was even a little cute. If they didn't see it with their own eyes, they would never think that it was the Swallow Pan Mountain Range's emperor. What's going on? Wolf King was dumbfounded. He couldn't even speak clearly. Fatso and Qin Feiyong were the same. The ferocious bird that was more than 10 meters long suddenly turned into the size of a palm? What kind of joke was this? Was it a magic trick? Transformation pill. Qin Feiyong spat out the name word by word. What transformation pill? Fatso and Qin Feiyong, as well as Wolf King, looked at him in surprise. Qin Feiyong said, when a beast takes it, it can freely change the size of its body. However, This kind of pill is very rare even in the imperial capital. The state capital must also have it. But it was definitely more precious than the imperial capital. It couldn't even be measured by price. From this, it could be seen that the lion-headed eagle's owner must have an extraordinary background. Fatso and Qin Feiyong, as well as Wolf King, suddenly understood and looked at the lion-headed eagle in surprise. They weren't stupid. From Qin Feiyong's words, they could think of some clues. At the same time, the bewilderment in the lion-headed eagle's heart became more and more uncontrollable. He knew everything. Nothing could be hidden from him. What was the background of this human youth? Qin Feiyong waved his hand and sent Fatso and Qin Feiyong to the castle. He smiled and said, "Senior Beast Emperor, there's no time to lose. Let's set off immediately." The lion-headed eagle returned to its true form and carried Qin Feiyong. Like a bolt of lightning, it flew towards Pan County. The beasts below all prostrated themselves on the ground to send them off, including the dozen or so War Emperor realm beasts. 4 days later, a one-armed brawny man walked out of a dense forest near Pan Wang City. On his shoulder stood a cute owl. It was Qin Feiyong and the lion-headed eagle. The lion-headed eagle was puzzled. "Human boy, why did you change your appearance?" Qin Feiyong said, "I have offended a lot of people in Pan Wang City. If I show my true appearance, I am afraid that I will be killed before I even enter the city." At the city gate, pedestrians came and went. Qin Feiyong stood beside a small tree, observed for a moment, and gradually frowned. He found that everyone who entered and left Pan Wang City would be checked by the Heaven's Eye Stone. It seemed Pan Wang had not given up on looking for Theta Wang. "What's wrong?" The lion-headed eagle was puzzled. Qin Feiyong said, "I'm afraid we have to change places and go to Haiyun City. Do you know the way to Haiyun City?" "I know." The lion-headed eagle nodded and said, "But there is no need to take a detour. This emperor will take you directly in." Before his voice faded, Qin Feiyong only felt his body lighten, and the scenery in front of him retreated like lightning. Almost in the blink of an eye, he appeared in the middle of the crowd on the streets of the city. The crowd around didn't notice that there was an extra person out of thin air. Even if someone noticed, they didn't take it to heart. As for the guards at the city gate, they didn't notice at all. They only felt a light breeze blowing past them. So fast. Qin Feiyong was secretly speechless. If he had such a fast speed and such strong strength, why would he be afraid of Pan Wang and the others? Flower brothel. Qin Feiyong sat in a corner of the lobby, drinking a little wine while listening to the discussions around him. "Do you know? Qin Feiyong has died in the Swallow Pan mountain range." "How is that possible? Who did you hear it from?" "My second uncle is a guard of the palace and is responsible for guarding the throne room. He heard the discussion between the commander and Pan Wang with his own ears." A conversation attracted Qin Feiyong's attention. He looked in the direction of the voice. He saw a few young people in their 20s gathered together at the table next to him, whispering. "Strange. How did Pan Wang and the commander know that I have died in the Swallow Pan mountain range?" Qin Feiyong was puzzled. Could it be that they were also present at that time? He stood up, holding a wine glass, with a smile on his face, and tried to get close to those people. A moment later, he finally found out that it was the Grand Commander who had been tailing them ever since they left Pan County. "Pan Wang, Commander, you are courting death." Qin Feiyong's killing intent surged. He originally just wanted to know if anything major had happened in Pan Wang City in the past few days. But he didn't expect. In the end, he learned such a shocking piece of news. After chatting with those people for a while and seeing that there was no more useful news, Qin Feiyong stood up and left for the treasure pavilion. Chapter 240. Entering the treasure pavilion, Qin Feiyong asked Steward Wang to purchase a large number of medicinal herbs. Basically, they were all useful. Healing pills, bone-replenishing pills, qi-gathering pills, battle qi pills and so on. Of course. Because the quantity was too large, Steward Wang didn't hesitate to ask about Qin Feiyong's background. But every time, Qin Feiyong easily dealt with him. Moreover, Qin Feiyong also spent a large sum of money to purchase 5 regeneration pills in case he needed them. Next, with the help of the lion-head eagle, Qin Feiyong smoothly left King Pan City and entered the deep mountains, summoning Fatso, Lu Hong and Wolf King. After 4 days of cultivation, Fatso and Lu Hong's essence, Qi and spirit had recovered to their peak state. With their unyielding spirit and fearless spirit, they also successfully broke through the martial master realm and opened the second level of the door of potential. Their cultivation speed had already surpassed Wolf King's. After all, Wolf King had only opened the first level. Qin Feiyang also took a regeneration pill. His lost left arm was finally restored to its original state. Fatso and Lu Hong rested for a while, found a pool to wash off the bloodstains on their bodies, and changed into clean clothes. The lion-head eagle opened the portal and went to the ruins. A bottomless abyss lay across the earth, dividing heaven and earth into 2 different worlds. In the abyss, a black storm raged, making ear-piercing whining sounds. Above the abyss, there was an ancient iron chain bridge. The bridge was rusty and exuded an ancient aura. It was only wide enough for one person to walk on. It shook violently under the strong wind, like a swing, making people afraid to step on it. Buzz! In the void above the bridge, a door of light appeared out of thin air. The lion-head eagle brought Qin Feiyang and the others out of the door of light and landed in front of the bridge. What a terrifying storm! Fatso immediately shrank his neck and quickly retreated. The aura emitted by the black storm made him feel like the god of death had arrived. This abyss is called the Black Abyss. It surrounds the entire ruins. The black hurricane in the abyss is strong enough to tear a battle emperor into pieces. This iron chain bridge is the only way to enter the ruins. Lion-head eagle's pupils contracted as he explained in a grave tone. Qin Feiyang was also shocked. The land of ruins, the Black Abyss, the chain bridge, and the hurricane. He had only heard of them before, but when he came here, he realized that they were even more terrifying than the rumors. He followed the iron chain bridge and looked at the ruins on the other side. However, the ruins were too far away, so he couldn't see them clearly. However, they could see that the sky above the ruins was shrouded in a layer of haze that could not be dispersed, giving off a very deep sense of oppression. Unknowingly, his mood became heavy. Looking at the sky above their heads, there were dark clouds for thousands of miles and the sun was shining brightly. The Black Abyss seemed to be a dividing line, dividing the world into 2 halves. This scene was too miraculous and bizarre. I can't go. Fatso mumbled to himself as his body trembled uncontrollably. Senior Beast Emperor, there is no black hurricane in the sky. Can we fly directly over it? Lu Hong asked. She was doing well. She raised her head and looked at the sky in confusion. Although her face was a little pale, at least she wasn't as timid as Fatso. Lion-head eagle didn't answer and looked at Qin Feiyang. It wanted to see if this human was really omnipotent and omniscient. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "It said that the space above the abyss is enveloped by an extremely terrifying gravitational force. Any living being that wants to fly over will fall into the abyss under the pressure of the gravitational force and be mercilessly killed by the storm." Lion-head eagle's pupils contracted. It couldn't help but ask, "Who are you?" Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "I'm just an ordinary person. Who are you trying to fool? How could an ordinary person know this?" Lion-head eagle rolled its eyes. Qin Feiyang turned to look at Lion-head eagle and said with a smile, "Senior Beast Emperor, lead the way." "I'm not going," Lion-head eagle said. Fatso said angrily, "We are going to save your master, but you are hiding and sending us to our deaths. Aren't you too cunning?" Lion-head eagle said, "I don't deny that I am indeed selfish. If you don't return in 10 years, I will continue to look for people to enter the ruins." Wolf King said unhappily, "You are quite direct." Lion-head eagle didn't care. A black feather fell from its body and floated in front of Qin Feiyang. "I don't know where Master is, but if you meet her, this feather will shine and guide you to find her," Lion-head eagle said. Qin Feiyang grabbed the feather and put it into his Qianquan bag. He asked, "Have you looked for others before?" "Yes, but when they came here, they all began to regret. In the end, they were all thrown into the Black Abyss by me," Lion-head eagle said. Fatso's face turned pale. It seemed that he had to go today. Huff. Qin Feiyang took a deep breath. After sending Fatso and Wolf King into the castle, he looked up at the iron chain bridge and walked up without hesitation. Lion-head eagle said loudly, "For the next 10 years, I will be waiting for you here. I wish you a triumphant return. Just don't forget your promise." Qin Feiyang said without turning his head and walked towards the opposite side step by step. The iron chain bridge was shaking violently. There was nothing to hold on to on either side. It could be said that it was difficult to move. After walking for only a dozen meters, he almost fell down twice. Huff! Looking at the endless iron chain bridge, Qin Feiyang let out a long breath. He squatted down and firmly grabbed the edges of both sides, moving towards the opposite side bit by bit. A full 10 days passed. Qin Feiyang could finally see the ruins. But what he saw was only the tip of the iceberg. There was no sign of life. It was like a land of death. In the void, there was a thin layer of black mist. Although it didn't affect his vision, it made him feel uncomfortable. And not far from the bridge, there was a dark castle, exuding a mysterious and cold aura. Another half an hour passed. Qin Feiyang finally stepped onto the ground of the ruins. The first feeling was cold. It wasn't the cold weather. It was a kind of gloomy cold, as if he was in hell. It made him feel uncomfortable and even a little scared. Involuntarily, Qin Feiyang's pores relaxed and his body and mind entered a state of vigilance. Looking around, it was all desolation. The barren land, the barren mountains, and the barren rivers. It was as if he was the only person in this world. It was completely silent. An inexplicable loneliness and panic emerged uncontrollably and attacked his heart. He hurriedly called Wolf King out to accompany him. As for Fatso and Lu Hong, they had just opened the second level of the Gate of Potential and were busy cultivating. Why is this place so deserted? As soon as Wolf King came out and saw the scenery in front of him, his pupils couldn't help but shrink. Be careful. Qin Feiyang warned and turned around to look behind him. The iron chain bridge was still there, and there was no change. But he had a very real feeling that the iron chain bridge had become different from before. His eyes flickered, and he carefully stepped out with his right foot. As soon as he landed on the iron chain bridge, a terrifying gravity came crashing down. In an instant, his entire right foot was directly crushed by the gravity. Blood splattered in the sky. A heart-wrenching pain swept through his heart like a tide. Qin Feiyang screamed, lost his balance, and fell into the abyss. Damn it! Qin Feiyang was anxious. Seeing that Qin Feiyang was about to fall into the black abyss, Wolf King heard the movement, turned around abruptly, bit his clothes, and pulled back hard. Pucci! His clothes were torn, but Qin Feiyang was also pulled back. Sitting on the ground, he looked at the iron chain bridge in shock, his face pale. What's going on? Wolf King was surprised and walked towards the iron chain bridge. Don't go! Qin Feiyang's face changed. He hurriedly dragged him and said, There is a gravity on the bridge now. My leg was crushed by the gravity. What? Wolf King was frightened and stepped back, his eyes full of horror. Qin Feiyang took out a regeneration pill and swallowed it. While looking at the iron chain bridge, he waited for his right leg to be repaired. Wolf King asked, Then, how are we going to go back in the future? Qin Feiyang pondered for a moment and said, Let's talk about it later. There will definitely be a way. Fortunately, he had the foresight to prepare a few more regeneration pills. Otherwise, he would have become a cripple now. After his right leg was repaired, Qin Feiyang got up and moved, then turned and walked towards the Black Castle. Wolf King followed closely beside him. In this place, everything was unknown. He could not be careless. After walking for a while, Qin Feiyang frowned and said, The essence of this place is too thin. Wolf King nodded. He finally understood why Qin Feiyang would go to Panwang City and buy a large number of medicinal herbs. Because in such a place, if there were no pills, it would be impossible to cultivate. A moment later, before they arrived at the castle gate was closed, and a cold aura blew in their faces. Qin Feiyang casually looked around. Suddenly, his whole body was cold, and his eyes were locked on the top of the castle. He saw a black-haired old man standing there. He was skinny and wore a black robe. His hair was disheveled, and his eyes were deep, emitting a gloomy light. He lowered his head and stared at the man and the wolf. At first glance, he looked like a ghost from hell, making Qin Feiyang and Wolf King's scalps go numb. Hee. Suddenly, the black-clothed old man jumped down with a terrifying grin and landed on the ground. The man and the wolf tensed up and quickly retreated. The black-clothed old man grinned and said, The environment outside is so good, but you still came to the ruins. You are really stupid. Qin Feiyong stabilized his mind and said helplessly, I have no choice. I have offended too many people. If I don't enter the ruins, I will die. Most of the people in the ruins came here to take refuge because they were being hunted down. But now they all regret it. They would rather die outside than stay here and suffer, including this old man. It won't be long before you regret it too. The black-clothed old man laughed sinisterly. Since we're here, let's take it easy. Qin Feiyong sighed. In that case, come in with this old man. Chapter 241. The old man in black strode into the castle. Qin Feiyong and Wolf King looked at each other and cautiously followed him in. The castle was extremely dark and filled with a gloomy aura. In the middle of the room, there was a shabby wooden table. On the table, there was also a black dagger. The old man in black walked to the wooden table, grabbed the dagger, and turned to look at the man and the wolf. What do you want to do? Wolf King immediately took a step back, a fierce light flashing in his eyes. Looking at the man and the wolf, the old man in black slowly raised the dagger, put it to his mouth and licked the blade. He looked like a butcher with a butcher's knife in his hand. Don't be nervous, this is just a rule. Every newcomer has to leave a mark on them. I have one on me too. The old man in black smiled sinisterly and pushed away the messy black hair on his forehead, revealing a forehead full of wrinkles. Qin Feiyong's pupils contracted. In the middle of the old man in black's forehead, there were two small black words. The two words were ruins. The old man in black said, This is the identity mark of the ruins. If you don't have this mark, it means that you are not recognized by the ruins and everyone will see you as an enemy. Qin Feiyong frowned. Moreover, this dagger is made of special materials. The words engraved on it will never disappear. Unless you cut off the flesh on your forehead. You have no choice because once you step into the ruins, no one can leave. The old man in black laughed sinisterly and did not hide his threat at all. Can we change places? Qin Feiyong frowned. It was too unsightly to engrave it on the forehead. Sure, other than the forehead, you can also engrave it on the left or right face. Anyway, as long as it's on the face. But before that, hand over the Qianquan bag. Otherwise, I won't engrave the mark on you. Soon, you will be cruelly killed or even dismembered. At this moment, the old man in black's eyes were full of greed and his threat was undisguised. A cold light suddenly flashed in the depths of the man and the wolf's eyes. Qin Feiyong said helplessly, Senior, I also want to give you the Qianquan bag, but my Qianquan bag was accidentally destroyed when I was chased by my enemies. Now, I'm even poorer than you. Hee hee, little guy, you are very dishonest. This old man has been observing you ever since you set foot on the wasteland. I saw you take out your Qianquan bag and take out an elixir. That elixir should be the regeneration elixir. The old man in black laughed sinisterly. Bastard. Little Qin Zi. Find a chance. The Wolf King said telepathically. You want to know this old man's cultivation and then kill me. Do you think you can escape this calamity? Qin Feiyong's heart trembled. This old man is too smart. The old man in black said disdainfully, however, I really don't take you seriously. You two small fries. Listen carefully. I am a 5-star martial grandmaster. What? Qin Feiyong and Wolf King were dumbfounded on the spot. A man who looks very powerful is only a 5-star martial grandmaster? Are you kidding? The next moment, Qin Feiyong attacked as expected. The wind thunder palm carried a terrifying wind and hit the old man in black's chest. Puff! The old man in black spat out a mouthful of blood on the spot and flew out. Crack! The wooden table behind him was smashed into pieces in an instant. Then, it hit the wall behind and finally rolled to the ground with a bang. The old man in black was a little confused. His face was pale and he was dizzy. This young man is actually so powerful? He originally thought that a 15 or 16-year-old young man would be at most a martial master. But he never expected that the power of that palm was stronger than his. Then, he flew into a rage out of humiliation and his face was distorted. He looked coldly at Qin Feiyong and said, You dare to attack me? Damn! Qin Feiyong landed in front of the black-clothed old man and mercilessly kicked the black-clothed old man's lower abdomen. The old man in black hit the wall and curled up in the corner, wailing. Wolf King ran up and scolded, A mere 5-star martial grandmaster dares to be so arrogant in front of us. Do you want to die? I'll let you taste the holy water. He laughed sinisterly, lifted his leg and sprayed a pool of urine on the old man in black's face. Bastard! I'm going to kill you! The old man in black was mad with anger. But before he could get up, Qin Feiyong kicked him again. The old man in black's head hit the wall and immediately saw stars. Blood kept spurting out of his mouth. Bastard, if I'm still at my peak, I'll kill you like killing dogs. He moaned helplessly, his face full of resentment. Peak. The man and the wolf were stunned. Qin Feiyong crossed his arms and asked curiously, "Then tell me, how strong were you at your peak?" "When I first entered the ruins, I was a 9-star martial grandmaster. I thought that no matter how bad the ruins were, there would be no lack of chi gathering pills. But the lack of resources here is beyond imagination. If you want to get a chi gathering pill, you have to pay a huge price. After a few decades, not only did my strength not improve at all, it even fell to a 5-star martial artist. I regret that I shouldn't have. If I could have stayed outside, I would have been a war king long ago. However, tisk, you will soon follow in my footsteps." The old man in black laughed sinisterly. Hearing these words, the man and the wolf were in disbelief. It seemed that they had underestimated the cruelty and viciousness of this place. "Let me go. I don't want to die yet. I don't want your Chenkuan bag. I won't mention you to a third person." The old man in black suddenly begged. Qin Feiyong asked, "Where is the place with the most people in the ruins?" The old man in black hurriedly said, "Monarch City has the most people." Wolf King said, "What is Monarch City? How far is it from here?" The old man in black said, "Monarch City is the capital of the ruins. With your speed, it will take at least half a year to reach here." "So far?" Qin Feiyong frowned and asked, "Is there a shortcut?" "Yes, there is a city in the south called Wohu City. All the major clans in the city raise a type of flying beast. Ride them and you will reach Monarch City in half a month at most. What else do you want to know? Ask away. As long as you let me live, I will tell you everything." The old man in black said with a flattering smile. "How long have you been here?" Qin Feiyong asked. The old man in black said, "Almost 30 years. Qin Feiyong's eyes lit up. The owner of the lion-head eagle entered the ruins more than 20 years ago. This person had been here for more than 30 years, so he must have seen this woman. With a wave of his hand, true energy surged, and a beautiful figure quickly condensed. "Have you seen her?" Qin Feiyong asked. The old man in black looked up and nodded. "Yes, I have." "You really have?" Qin Feiyong raised his eyebrows. This answer was also fast. It was inevitable that he would be suspected of being perfunctory. "Yes, I have. Although I've been guarding this place for several decades, it's only every few years that someone enters the ruins. So, I have a deep impression of everyone, as if it was yesterday." The old man in black hurriedly said. Qin Feiyong frowned. Thinking about it, who would want to come to this god-forsaken place? He asked, "Then where did this woman go? Do you know?" The old man in black said, "I don't know, but at that time, she was also inquiring about places with a lot of people. She might have also gone to the royal city. She is also very strong, at least war king." The royal city. Qin Feiyong pondered for a moment, then turned around and strode out of the castle with Wolf King. Hee. "Little bastard. You are still too inexperienced. When this old man spreads the news of your appearance, you will have a taste of what it means to live a life worse than death, after a while." The old man in black got up in a sorry state and limped out of the hall. Seeing that the man and the wolf had already disappeared, he laughed maniacally. Swish. However, before he could finish, Qin Feiyong and Wolf King appeared out of thin air again. "How did you?" The old man in black looked at them with a face full of surprise. Appeared out of thin air? Could they turn invisible? Qin Feiyong looked at the old man in black coldly and said, "As expected, you can't be soft-hearted at any time. Your Excellency, please spare my life. I was wrong. I was just confused." The old man in black knelt on the ground and begged for mercy. Qin Feiyong didn't say anything and walked toward the old man in black step by step. "Go to hell." When the two were only half a meter apart, the old man in black suddenly burst out. With a cruel smile on his old face, He slapped toward Qin Feiyong. Humph! Qin Feiyong snorted coldly. He used the smoke-gathering steps and calmly dodged. Then he raised his arm and pointed at the old man in black's head with his index finger covered with ice crystals. Ah! Crack! A bloody hole suddenly appeared on the head of the old man in black. Blood spurted out like an arrow. Little Qin Zi, if you kill him, will it attract the attention of others? Wolf King asked worriedly. Who will care about a person who can't even get the qi-gathering pill? Qin Feiyong picked up the old man in black and rushed toward the black abyss. When he came to the edge, he threw the old man in black directly on the iron chain bridge. The terrifying gravity crushed the old man in black in an instant. Blood dyed the iron chain red. In this way, even if someone finds out that he is dead, they will only think that he wanted to escape from the ruins. Qin Feiyong smiled faintly. When I first saw it, I was a little nervous, but I didn't expect it to be so trashy. Wolf King said contemptuously. We can't be careless. There must be a lot of strong masters in Monarch City. Qin Feiyong took Wolf King to the castle. When they reappeared, the word ruins was added to their foreheads. It was written with ink. It couldn't be touched by water. Once it was touched by water, it would be exposed. Then the man and the wolf galloped toward the south. Several hours later, they walked for more than 10 miles. They didn't encounter any danger, but they didn't see any people either. Chapter 242. In front of him, there was a towering mountain ridge. The highest point was dozens of feet high. A man and a wolf climbed up the mountain ridge and their eyes lit up. The mountains and rivers in front of them were no longer bare. There were small grass and trees growing on them. But they were basically withered and yellow. It had withered. It was hard to find a bit of green. Such a desolate place was not suitable for humans to live in. However, at the bottom of the mountain ridge, one could clearly see that there were many small wooden houses. They were very simple and crude. There were many livestock in the mountain stream. In his line of sight, he could see many figures. There were old and young, men and women, but without exception, they were all lacking in nutrition and were as thin as a match. Moreover, they didn't have any clothes on them. They were all made of dried grass or leaves, woven into a piece of cloth. A man and a wolf felt as if they had arrived at a primitive tribe. The people who live here are really suffering. Qin Feiyong whispered. This was the first time he had seen such an environment and condition in his life. In his heart, there was an inexplicable sadness. Wolf King was puzzled. Didn't you say that the people in the ruins are basically from the outside? How can there be ordinary people? Qin Feiyong said, since the founding of the Great Qin Empire, the ruins have existed. After so many years, a brand new civilization has already been born. Wolf King nodded and asked again. How long has the Great Qin Empire existed? Qin Feiyong said, according to the ancient records, almost 10,000 years. That long? Wolf King's eyes widened in shock. It's not too long. Once a warrior steps into the War Emperor realm, they will have 500 years of life, let alone the Emperor of the Great Qin Empire. The strength of every emperor has already reached a realm that transcends the heavens and the earth. At this point, Qin Feiyong did not continue and walked down the mountain ridge. It wasn't because he was afraid that Lu Hong and Fatso would hear him. It was because there were too many memories that made him sad, angry, and hateful. He was afraid that once he thought of them, he would not be able to control his emotions. As they walked down the mountain, they met an old man and a child. The old man's body was bent, leaving only skin and bones. His muddy eyes were filled with despair and helplessness towards life, making him look especially miserable. Children. He was about 12 or 13 years old. He was also skinny and dirty. Children of this age were usually very lively. However, the child in front of him had a wooden expression. His eyes were empty, and there was a hint of sadness in them. How pitiful! Even the ferocious Wolf King could not help but feel pity for him. Such a place shouldn't exist. Qin Feiyong's eyes flashed coldly. If he had a choice, he would rather harden his heart and send these people away from this world than watch them live such a life of despair. The man and the wolf continued to move forward. The people they met were all in similar situations as the old man and the young man. But gradually, traces of ferocious light appeared in those empty eyes. They were like slumbering jackals that were gradually awakening. The atmosphere doesn't seem right. Wolf King scanned those people warily. Let's go, Qin Feiyong said in a low voice. Big brother, wait a moment. But at this moment, a young and unfamiliar voice came from behind him. Qin Feiyong stopped and looked back. He saw the child they met at the beginning trotting towards them. Little brother, what's the matter? Qin Feiyong asked with a smile. The child ran in front of him and looked up at him. His dirty face was full of longing. He asked, Big brother, can you give me something to eat? Qin Feiyong felt an inexplicable sadness in his heart. It was a simple sentence, but it could touch anyone's heart. As long as they were not cold-blooded animals, they would not be able to refuse this child's sincere request. Wolf King said, Little Qin Zi, didn't we kill a lot of ferocious beasts when we were training in the Swallowpan mountain range? Why don't we give them all? Even its heart was melted by her. It could be seen how pitiful the lives of the people here were. Qin Feiyong nodded and took out his Chenkuan bag. With a wave of his hand, a large pile of ferocious beasts suddenly appeared on the ground beside him. These ferocious beasts were all edible. But as soon as they saw this pile of ferocious beasts, the people in the entire village instantly went crazy and rushed over. Their eyes were full of greed. Qin Feiyong hurriedly said, Don't fight. Let's share this food equally. But at this moment, those people definitely wouldn't listen. In their eyes, there was only food. Boom! All of a sudden, Wolf King released a terrifying ferocious beast, and his eyes became extremely terrifying. In an instant, everyone lay on the ground, their bodies trembling. The child next to him was so scared that he cried. Qin Feiyong squatted on the ground, patted the child's shoulder, and said with a smile, Little brother, you are a man. You can't cry, understand? Yes. The child nodded. Maybe it was because he saw Qin Feiyong's pleasant expression that he became bolder. There was a bamboo tube hanging on his shoulder. This was used to hold water. He took out the bamboo tube, handed it to Qin Feiyong, and said with a smile, Big brother, thank you for giving us food. I'll treat you to some water. Qin Feiyong took the bamboo tube, pulled out the stopper, and put it at the tip of his nose to smell it. Suddenly, a strange smell came to his nose. This water couldn't be drunk. But the people here treated it as drinking water. Alas! Qin Feiyong secretly sighed, drank 2 mouthfuls, and returned the bamboo tube to the child. But suddenly, his body trembled slightly, and a stream of blood rushed to his throat. It's poisonous. There was a trace of disbelief in his eyes. On his body, a murderous intent permeated the air. The people here suddenly felt as if they had fallen into a world of ice and snow, and their whole body was cold. But in the end, Qin Feiyong resisted the murderous intent, got up, glanced at the crowd around, and said with a faint smile, Everyone, don't fight. Everyone has a share of this food. The child and the old man were a little flustered. Qin Feiyong looked at the two of them, reached out and rubbed the child's head, and said with a smile, Little brother, life is not easy, you have to cherish it. The child instinctively nodded. Qin Feiyong withdrew his arm and called out, White-eyed wolf, let's go. Just as the man and the wolf turned around and were about to leave, the old man suddenly knelt on the ground with a plop and said hoarsely, Young man, I'm sorry, I poisoned the water, please kill me. It's okay. Qin Feiyong smiled. Thank you for your magnanimity. The old man kowtowed. Qin Feiyong smiled faintly. In such a desolate place, it was impossible to make a deadly poison. In the water just now, it was just a very ordinary poison. It was enough to kill a mortal. But to a warrior, it was not a threat. The man and the wolf walked a few steps, and the old man said again, Young man, if you want to survive safely, you'd better change your clothes. Qin Feiyong frowned and looked at the old man in confusion. In the ruins, there are only 2 kinds of people who can wear such gorgeous clothes like you. One is the big shots in the city. The other is the people who just came to the ruins. The big shots in the city live like princes and would never come to such a poor place. So the only explanation is that you just came to the ruins. If you don't change your clothes, you will definitely encounter the same situation again. The old man said. Thank you for your reminder. Qin Feiyong clasped his hands, and quickly left the village with Wolf King. Not only did he give us food, he also didn't care that I poisoned him. He is a good person. The old man looked at the back of the man and wolf. his eyes full of gratitude. The others also watched Qin Feiyong and Wolf King with grateful eyes. Leaving the village, Qin Feiyong took a detoxification pill, and in a few breaths, the poison in his body was completely removed. Wolf King teased, "He actually let them go. What kind of wind is blowing today? This is not like the Qin Feiyong I know." Actually, there are some things that don't have to be solved by killing. Qin Feiyong laughed. Like just now, if he really killed people, it would only make the people in the village angrier and crazier. But if he repaid evil with good, not only would he gain the other party's respect, but he would also make those people realize their mistakes. Moreover, those people were also forced to make a living. In the past, he always thought that he was the most miserable person in the world. But now, seeing the people here, he realized that he was a relatively lucky person. At least, when he had no one to rely on, he had Uncle Yuan to accompany him. Now, he also had Wolf King, Lu Hong, and Fatso to accompany him. He was not alone. Next, Qin Feiyong found a hidden place, found the old linen clothes he wore before, and put them on. And he deliberately made them very ragged and dirty. He really couldn't do it like the people in the village, only covering himself with hay and leaves. Wolf King also deliberately made his face dirty. Right now, it didn't look like a wolf at all. It looked more like a dirty wild dog. After disguising themselves, they continued to set off, but they didn't delay their cultivation. They were refining qi-gathering pills all the time, and their cultivation was advancing rapidly. Half a month later, a dilapidated ancient city entered the sight of a man and a wolf. Above the city gate, 3 words were engraved, Wohu City. The city wall was riddled with holes. The buildings in the city were also dilapidated. Coupled with the dim sky, at first glance, it looked like a gloomy ghost city. At the city gate, there was no one guarding, and it looked very deserted. Hey, there's a wild dog in the city. I've never eaten dog meat before. Little brother, can you sell this wild dog to me? I'll give you a body refining pill in exchange. Don't sell it to him. I'll give you a qi gathering pill in exchange. As soon as Qin Feiyong and Wolf King entered the city gate, Wolf King became the center of attention and was very popular. But this kind of welcome was somewhat ironic. People on the street surrounded it, staring at it with green eyes, and some even wiped their saliva. Even Wolf King, who was not afraid of anything, couldn't help but feel scared at this moment. These people were simply the reincarnation of hungry ghosts. Where's the wild dog? Get out of my way! A young man wearing ragged linen, surrounded by several naked strong men, arrogantly stood in front of Qin Feiyong and Wolf King. It's the young master of the Wang family. Dodge! Otherwise, the wild dog will lose its life before it can eat it. Chapter 243. Qin Feiyong stopped and frowned. In the beginning, it was still a little fresh. But as time went by, these people's indifference became annoying. Brother Wolf was even more ferocious. He could go berserk at any time. It's really a wild dog. When the young man in linen saw Wolf King, his eyes lit up and he couldn't help but swallow his saliva. Young master, you're in for a treat tonight. Young master, we've been following you for so long, don't you think? The burly men next to him had flattering smiles on their faces. Don't worry, I'll give you a few bones to taste. The young man in linen waved his hand and laughed in high spirits. Thank you, young master. You over there, yes, I'm talking about you. Quickly send that wild dog to our young master Wang. A few brawny men pointed at Qin Feiyong and shouted arrogantly with their nostrils pointing at the sky. Can we kill people here? The Wolf King's eyes flashed with a ferocious light. The law of survival here is the law of the jungle, what do you think? Qin Feiyong crossed his arms in front of his chest and looked at those people playfully. You don't know what's good for you. Go and cripple him for this young master and slaughter that beast. Young Master Wang's eyes turned cold. As his voice fell, the burly men rubbed their hands and walked towards the man and wolf with a sinister smile. Kid, young master gave you a chance just now, but you didn't cherish it. Now, don't blame us for being ruthless. Dog meat, I can't help but drool when I think about it. A sad smile crept onto their faces. Oh well. All of a sudden, a wolf's howl resounded in all directions. The Wolf King executed the 7 kill steps, bringing with it a terrifying evil aura as it stomped the few burly men to death. Their heads burst open and blood splattered. So strong. It's not a wild dog, it's a wolf. Wolves are cruel and ruthless, run, or we'll all be eaten by it. The surrounding crowd scattered and began to flee as if their lives depended on it. As for young Master Wang, he was so scared that he pissed his pants. Wolf King chased after him in a few steps. Seeing that his head was about to be crushed by Wolf King's foot, Lin Yun suddenly stopped. Lord Wolf, this lowly one knows his wrongs. This lowly one deserves to die. This lowly one will give you 2 energy-gathering pills. Please spare this lowly one's life. Plop. He knelt on the ground and kept kowtowing. His forehead hit the ground repeatedly. A pungent smell of urine quickly filled the air. Wolf King landed on the ground and said with a chuckle, "You dare to be arrogant in front of me with just this bit of strength? Quickly crawl over here and lick the blood off my leg. Then, I'll spare your dog life." What? Young Master Wang's face turned green and red. This was a blatant humiliation to him. Furthermore, he was humiliated by a beast. Seems like you still want to die. Wolf King's eyes shone with an ominous light. I'll lick. Young Master Wang hurriedly crawled over. Life and dignity. He chose to abandon his dignity without hesitation. Damn it, you made my leg covered in saliva. So disgusting. You'd better die. Wolf King's eyes were full of disgust. He bit towards his head. Looking at the white fangs, young Master Wang's face turned pale and he fainted on the spot. What's going on? Wolf King was a little dazed. He fainted just like that. Wasn't he too weak? What a terrifying wolf. It's at least at the martial ancestor level. I'm afraid that even the patriarch of the Wang family may not be its opponent. The crowd that had fled far away whispered in fear. And these discussions were all caught by Qin Feiyang. Immediately, he calmed down. The strongest person in Wohu City was a martial ancestor. What was he afraid of? With his and Wolf King's means, they could do whatever they wanted. Qin Feiyang walked up and said, "Don't kill him. Wake him up. He still has some value." Okay. Let him taste my holy water." Wolf King chuckled. He ran up and peed on young Master Wang's face. The crowd in the distance was dumbfounded. Wasn't this wolf too shameless? What's that smell? So fishy. Young Master Wang woke up immediately and tasted the so-called holy water. He immediately became angry. What's wrong? Is the holy water not good to drink? The Wolf King glared at him. It's good. Young Master Wang nodded repeatedly. His face was full of flattery, but his heart was burning with anger. If it's good, drink more. It can cure all diseases. Normally, I wouldn't be willing to give it to people. You're lucky. The Wolf King chuckled. Yes. Thank you for your reward. Now, young Master Wang could only nod and agree. He didn't dare to have any other thoughts. He was full of regret. If he knew that this was a wolf, and an extremely shameless wolf, he wouldn't have provoked it even if he was beaten to death. It was all because of his gluttony. The people around also looked at each other. After forcing someone to drink that thing, he actually said with conviction that it was a supreme honor. It seemed that young Master Wang was destined to be a tragedy today. Qin Feiyang stepped forward and said, "Take me to your house." What? Not only did he bully young Master Wang, he also wanted to bully his family? This man and wolf were really rampant. Compared to them, those playboys in the city weren't even qualified to carry their shoes. Young Master Wang was also stunned and begged, "Brother, I really know my mistake. Please let me go." Qin Feiyang said coldly, "If you don't lead the way, don't blame me for being rude." Okay, I'll lead the way. Young Master Wang hurriedly got up, turned around with a frightened face, and walked along the main road. Ouch! Isn't this our young Master Wang? How did he end up in such a sorry state? Just as he walked to a crossroad, 2 young men in linen and a woman walked toward him. Beside them was also a group of servants. The 3 people looked at young Master Wang with a face full of ridicule. Humph! Young Master Wang snorted coldly, ignored them, bypassed the 3 people, and walked toward the street on the right. The 3 people were ready to intercept, but suddenly noticed Wolf King. The woman's eyes suddenly lit up, and she said in surprise, "What a big wild dog." The 2 young men, as well as those servants, also had their eyes lit up. Young Master Wang stopped, with a sneer at the corner of his mouth. The crowd behind the man and the wolf were also watching coldly. These playboys, usually in the city, were domineering, and no one dared to do anything to them. Might as well take this opportunity to extinguish their arrogance. So, no one present opened their mouth to remind them. The woman shouted, "Whoever kills it, I'll give him a bite of meat." A group of servants, suddenly like hungry tigers pouncing on sheep, rushed toward Wolf King. "Why are there so many blind trash?" Wolf King glanced at those people, his eyes full of contempt. Boom! Suddenly, its ferocious nature was unleashed. The terrifying ferocious power shocked everyone. Who was the sheep and who was the tiger? Soon it would be clear. Wolf King killed one person with each step. Blood dyed this ancient street red, making the three people scared out of their wits and flee. In the end, more than a dozen corpses were lying messily on the ground. The bloody scene was shocking. But for Qin Feiyong and Wolf King, this was just a small episode. Wang family. It was one of the 4 major families in Wohu City. But compared to the families in Yen County and Pan County, it was naturally comparable. The gate and walls of the house were shabby. The inside of the house was extremely simple and crude. It was not an exaggeration to say that even the Lin family in Iron Ox Town could completely crush the Wang family here. Young Master Wang, with a man and a wolf, hurriedly walked toward the wooden building at the end of a winding path. The wooden building, compared to other places, was better. Although it was also old, at least there was no incomplete place. "What do you want?" "Let go of our young master." Behind the man and the wolf, there was a large group of servants and maids of the Wang family. They were all nervous and looked at Qin Feiyong and Wolf King unkindly. "Who are you? What are you doing in my Wang family?" An angry roar sounded. A middle-aged man walked out of the wooden building. When he saw young Master Wang's sorry state, his eyes immediately became gloomy. Young Master Wang hurriedly ran toward the middle-aged man as if he had seen his savior. Qin Feiyong and Wolf King did not stop him. "Father, quickly kill them." Young Master Wang's confidence was boosted, and he stared at the man and the wolf with hatred. "Take them down." The middle-aged man did not allow any explanation and waved his big hand. The servants behind him immediately swarmed up. Bang! Bang! Qin Feiyong used the smoke-gathering steps. In less than 10 breaths, all the servants were lying on the ground, wailing. "So strong." The Wang family head's pupils constricted and he shouted coldly, "You dare to behave atrociously in my Wang family. You really don't know your own weight." Boom! His aura suddenly exploded. He rushed toward Qin Feiyong with a murderous look in his eyes. "Can't see through?" Qin Feiyong raised his eyebrows. He could not see through this person's aura. There was only one explanation. The Wang family head's cultivation was higher than his. Wind Thunder Palm. He waved his palm and collided with the Wang family head's fist. Thump! At that moment, both of them retreated a few steps. Qin Feiyong was surprised. He was a 5-star martial ancestor. With the enhancement of the perfect martial technique, he had the strength of a 9-star martial ancestor. The other party's strength was on par with his, which meant that his cultivation was at the 9-star martial ancestor level. But the Wang family head was even more shocked. This person looked to be only 15 or 16 years old. His strength was on par with his? Was he dreaming? Even the geniuses of the capital cities would not be so ridiculously strong either. "Who are you?" The Wang family head's face was filled with awe. Such a strong young man must have a strong background. Moreover, he could also see that the other party had mastered a very powerful martial technique. It was even possible that this young man was a hidden demon in Monarch City. Although the Wang family could dominate a region in Wohu City, in Monarch City, they were not even considered as ants. Qin Feiyong said, "Who I am is not important. I am here to ask you about a person." "Ask about who?" The Wang family head was puzzled. Qin Feiyong waved his hand and genuine qi emerged, condensing into a beautiful figure. If the owner of the lion head eagle was really going to Monarch City, then it was very likely that she would come to Wohu City to find a flying beast. So beautiful. There is actually such a stunning woman in the world. Young Master Wang and the servants suddenly revealed a look of infatuation. Chapter 244. Have you seen her? Qin Feiyang said impatiently. No. Patriarch Wang shook his head and said, she's so beautiful. If I had seen her, I definitely wouldn't have forgotten her. Qin Feiyang frowned. Where are the criminals who bullied my daughter? Bastard. How dare you behave atrociously in Wohu City? You really don't know what's good for you. Little bastard, get out here. At this moment, 3 loud roars sounded. Qin Feiyang turned around and saw 3 middle-aged men, with a group of servants, aggressively barging into the Wang family's gate. The woman who escaped earlier and the 2 young men were also present. Father, it's them. The woman was the first to notice Qin Feiyang and Wolf King, and immediately pointed at them and shouted. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed coldly and shouted, just in time, white-eyed wolf, take them down. Tremble, you ants. Wolf King stepped forward with 7 kill steps, extremely arrogant. A bastard dares to be so arrogant. I haven't eaten meat for a long time. Kill it, we'll stew it when we get back. The 3 men sneered and released a powerful aura towards Wolf King. Young Master Wang's eyes flashed and whispered in Patriarch Wang's ear. Father, this is a good opportunity. Patriarch Wang shook his head and said, no, this person's background is not small, we can't act rashly. What are you afraid of? Kill him, no one will know. What's more, he has mastered martial arts. If we can get his martial arts, the strength of our Wang family will definitely increase several times in a short period of time. Young Master Wang instigated. Martial arts. Patriarch Wang's eyes trembled. Decisively, he punched towards Qin Feiyang. His fist was filled with true qi, emitting a dazzling light. Qin Feiyang was indifferent, as if he didn't notice. On young Master Wang's face, there was already a bright smile. Swish! But at this moment, Qin Feiyang disappeared from their sight like lightning. So fast. The Wang family head's face suddenly changed. The next moment, he felt a sharp pain in his waist as a bloody hole the size of a finger appeared on his lower abdomen. You're digging your own grave. A sinister voice echoed in his ears. The head of the Wang family turned his head with difficulty, and immediately saw a smiling face right in front of him. Who else could it be but Qin Feiyang? Previously, he had used the shifting smoke steps and circled behind the Wang family head. The ice crystal finger had directly pierced through the Wang family head's lower abdomen. Ah, sir, I won't do it again. Please spare my life. The Wang family head screamed and begged for mercy. He really didn't expect that this kid was actually so ridiculously strong. Repent in hell. Qin Feiyang smiled coldly, and the ice crystal finger landed on the head of the Wang family head. Crack. Ah, accompanied by a shrill scream, the head of the Wang family head shattered on the spot, and he fell to the ground dead. Father is dead? Young Master Wang lay on the ground and was scared to the point of peeing again. The family head was killed? Those servants and maids were also in disbelief. Ah! At this time, another 3 screams sounded. Everyone looked over, and their souls left their bodies. The 3 middle-aged men were also beaten down by the wolf. Lying on the ground, they moaned weakly, and their faces were full of horror. The woman was also the same as young Master Wang. She was so scared that her face turned pale and she was paralyzed on the ground. This man and wolf, who the hell are they? The scene was dead silent. The smell of blood quickly spread in the void. Qin Feiyang walked in front of the 3 middle-aged men, condensed the beautiful figure again, and asked, have you seen her? The 3 men looked up. 2 of them had confused looks on their faces. But the other person looked a little surprised. When Qin Feiyang noticed the change in this person, he picked him up and said, have you seen her? Yes. That was more than 20 years ago. That day, she suddenly came to me and asked me to give her a flying mount. At that time, I even had a conflict with her. Her strength is very strong, stronger than you. In front of her, I feel like an ant. The big man said in horror. Qin Feiyang was overjoyed and hurriedly said, then where did she go? Royal City. The big man spat out these 2 words with difficulty. Royal City. Qin Feiyang's eyes lit up. Why did he feel that this woman came to the ruins for the Royal City? Qin Feiyang turned to young Master Wang and shouted, if you don't want to die, immediately prepare a flying mount for me. Yes, yes, yes. Young Master Wang quickly nodded, looked at the servant next to him, and said angrily, what are you waiting for? Go and prepare a mount for the Lord. One of the servants blew a whistle with all his might. Chirp! At that moment, a large black eagle rushed into the sky from the backyard of the Wang family, swooped down, and landed next to the servant. This was a ferocious bird called Lightning Eagle. It understood human nature and was extremely fast. Its personality was also very docile. However, its size was not big, only enough for 3 or 4 people to ride. In which direction is the royal city? Qin Feiyong looked down at the 3 middle-aged men and asked. One of them hurriedly said, "Keep flying south. If there are no accidents on the way, we can reach it in half a month at most." "Let's go." Qin Feiyong jumped up and landed on the back of the Lightning Eagle. Wolf King also jumped up. And when Wolf King landed on the back of the Lightning Eagle, the Lightning Eagle's body clearly trembled. A trace of fear crept into its pupils. Qin Feiyong said with a faint smile, "Don't worry, it won't hurt you, let's go." Chirp! The Lightning Eagle spread its wings and soared into the sky, flying towards the south. And at the same time that the man and the wolf left, the 3 big men immediately got up, their eyes flashing with a shocking cold light. "Go destroy the Wang family. Take away everything useful." Following the 3 people's fierce roars, the servants they brought immediately rushed towards the Wang family. A bloody massacre quickly unfolded. Damn, aren't these people too crazy? Wolf King turned pale with astonishment. This is the law of survival in the land of ruins. If you want to live longer, you have to keep killing and plundering. Qin Feiyong said lightly. He would sympathize with mortals. But towards martial artists, he always had an indifferent attitude. Because martial artists themselves were executioners. Whether good or evil, their hands were stained with the blood of others. The Lightning Eagle streaked across the sky and soon left Wohu City behind. Wolf King suddenly asked, "Little Qin Zi, why do you think that woman came to the land of ruins?" "I don't know." Qin Feiyong shook his head. If she was being chased by an enemy, then the lion-head eagle should have fled into the land of ruins with its master. Therefore vendetta could be ruled out. The land of ruins environment was so harsh, it was impossible for her to be here for treasure. Besides vendetta and treasure hunting, what else could it be? Qin Feiyong took out the feather, looked at it for a moment, and put it away. He sat on the Lightning Eagle's back and began to cultivate. He was more straightforward. If he couldn't figure it out, then he wouldn't waste energy thinking about it. Wolf King also lay on the side, silently cultivating. As they continued to go deeper into the land of ruins, the green mountains and clear waters were not so rare. And in the forest, there were also some strange fierce beasts. Some of them were species that even Qin Feiyong had never seen before. It should be because of the environment here that gradually mutated. 10 days passed. Qin Feiyong's cultivation broke through again and stepped into the 6-star martial artist realm. Coupled with the perfect martial skill, his current strength was enough to sweep through a 9-star martial ancestor. However, that was because the other party did not have any martial skills. "I'm one step closer to the War King realm." He muttered to himself and calmed his excited heart. He lowered his head to look at the mountains and rivers below. Occasionally, there would be the roars of beasts coming from below. The ferocious aura it emitted was almost comparable to that of a martial ancestor. Qin Feiyong retracted his gaze and looked at Wolf King who was lying on the side, and said, "If we go any deeper, we might encounter a War King realm fierce beast, so stay alert." Wolf King said, Relax, our luck won't be that good." Chirp. But just as he finished speaking, a giant falcon rushed out from the mountain stream below and headed straight for the Lightning Eagle. It was different from the usual falcons. The feathers all over its body looked as if they had been soaked in blood and were blood red. That pair of basin-sized eagle eyes were like 2 blood moons, extremely terrifying. The terrifying might could topple mountains and overturn the seas. The Lightning Eagle made a sharp turn and fled in fear. All of this happened too suddenly. 1 man and 1 wolf did not manage to stabilize themselves and directly fell from the Lightning Eagle's back. Fuck. Just like that, this heaven-defying luck. Even Brother Wolf has nothing to say. Wolf King roared again and again. Very strong. It's a War King realm fierce beast. Qin Feiyong's face was solemn. "Cut the crap. Let's go to the castle." Wolf King shouted. Falling from such a high place, even if he was lucky enough not to be eaten by the falcon, he would still fall to his death. Qin Feiyong looked at the falcon, turned in the air, and chased after Wolf King with its head down and feet up. However, Wolf King's body was bigger than his, so his falling speed was naturally faster than his. In just a few blinks of an eye, the distance between them had increased by more than 10 meters. The wind whistled in his ears. If it wasn't for the fact that one man and one wolf could communicate telepathically, they wouldn't have known what the other party was talking about. Faster! Wolf King roared angrily. The falcon flew against the wind, and the distance between them was only 23 meters. If he didn't go to the castle now, he would definitely become a delicious meal for the falcon. Qin Feiyong's gaze was dark and fierce. Suddenly, he had an idea and pulled Fatso out of the castle. He held on to Fatso tightly. Fatso's weight, coupled with his weight, increased the speed of their fall. What the hell? Boss, you can't be like this. If you die, Fat Lord won't let you off even if you become a ghost. Fatso's face turned pale with fright. What kind of joke was this? That falcon was obviously not someone to be trifled with. In the blink of an eye, the distance between the falcon and Wolf King was only 10 meters. At this distance, Wolf King would be swallowed alive in the blink of an eye. But at this moment, Qin Feiyong finally caught up to Wolf King, grabbed its tail, and went to the castle without hesitation. Chirp! The prey that was about to reach its mouth disappeared into thin air. Chapter 245. Inside the castle. Fatso and Wolf King were lying on the ground, panting heavily. Their eyes were filled with fear. That was close. They almost fell into the falcon's mouth. Lu Hong covered her mouth and laughed. She teased, Fatso, I didn't expect your fat body to be useful. What did you say? If you say that again, don't blame Fat Lord for spanking your little butt. The elasticity should be very good. As Fatso spoke, a wretched smile appeared on his face. Lu Hong's face immediately darkened and she kicked him without hesitation. Ouch! Fatso cramped in pain and jumped up. He rubbed his fists and said angrily, Little girl, today I'll let you see Fat Lord's manly strength. Come at me if you have the guts. Lu Hong held her head high and puffed out her chest. Fatso's face twitched. Didn't this woman know how majestic and tempting her chest was? He swallowed his saliva and waved his hand. A good man doesn't fight with women. I won't argue with you. Boss, tell me, how are you going to compensate Fat Lord for his mental loss? He pointed his spear at Qin Feiyong again. Qin Feiyong rolled his eyes at him and carefully sensed the situation of the castle. About 50 breaths. He felt that the sinking castle suddenly stopped. He listened carefully for a while. Except for the falcon's shrill cry, he didn't hear any other movements, so he left the castle. What entered his sight was a dense forest. Qin Feiyong hurriedly glanced and hid in a bush. He took out the Chong Shui and carefully became vigilant. There were more than a dozen ferocious beasts nearby, crawling on the ground in fear. They were frightened by the falcon in the sky. The falcon struggled for a long time before it finally stopped and flew into a giant mountain more than 10,000 feet high. The ferocious beasts in the forest couldn't help but secretly breathe a sigh of relief. Qin Feiyong also breathed a sigh of relief. His eyes flickered as he looked at the giant peak. It was the first time he had seen such a falcon. It seemed that not only were humans reproducing a new civilization in the ruins, but even the dire beasts were also changing. Roar! When the two ferocious beasts discovered him, they immediately pounced on him. With the Chong Shui in his hand, Qin Feiyong swiftly dealt with them and ran towards the giant peak without looking back. Along the way, they encountered many ferocious beasts. However, they were all martial arts grandmasters. For Qin Feiyong, as long as it wasn't a combat king beast, no one would be able to stop him. Half an hour later, he arrived at the foot of the mountain and looked up at the peak. After a moment of hesitation, he climbed up the mountain. On the peak of the mountain, there was a vigorous ancient tree. The blood-red falcon was now entrenched under the ancient tree. Qin Feiyong hid behind a large rock and stuck his head out to look at the falcon. He was somewhat hesitant. A moment later, he secretly exhaled a long breath and took a step out. Chirp! The falcon immediately looked at him fiercely. Qin Feiyong forced himself to remain calm, and said indifferently, Don't be rash, I'm here to give you good fortune. The falcon stood up, a trace of doubt in its blood-red eyes. If you're willing to send me to the king's city, I'll give you a beast spirit pill. If you don't know about the Beast Spirit Pill, I can explain it to you. The Beast Spirit Pill can unlock your intelligence, allowing you to communicate with anyone using telepathy. Qin Feiyang said with a smile. There were still 5 days of travel to the King's city, and who knew how many powerful ferocious beasts would block the way. So, he had to find a guy who could fly. And this falcon, not only was it strong, it was also fast. It was undoubtedly the best choice. Heard of it? The falcon's blood-red eyes emitted an aggressive light. Qin Feiyang's heart trembled and said indifferently, "Don't threaten me, just now in the sky, I was able to avoid your hunt, and now I can do the same." The falcon stared at Qin Feiyang. That sharp gaze caused Qin Feiyang to be unable to help but panic. Suddenly, the falcon nodded. Qin Feiyang was overjoyed and laughed. "Wait here, I'll go get it for you." Swish! In an instant. Then, he disappeared and entered the ancient castle. He looked at the two and said, "Quick, quick, give me a beast spirit pill." After looting the royal treasury, they had obtained a lot of beast spirit pills. Therefore, there was no need to refine them. Fatso took out one and gave it to Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang walked out of the castle and threw the beast spirit pill to the falcon. The falcon opened its mouth and swallowed the beast spirit pill. Next, its eyes were filled with doubt. Qin Feiyang laughed. "Try talking to me." The falcon raised its head and looked at Qin Feiyang, as if it didn't know what to say. "You, who are?" After a long while, the 3 words that the falcon said intermittently echoed in Qin Feiyang's mind. The falcon was stunned, and said excitedly, "Can I really talk? I'm a very honest person." Qin Feiyang laughed. "Humans are all treacherous people." The falcon looked at Qin Feiyang with hatred. This was hatred towards humans. Qin Feiyang laughed. "There are good and bad beasts, and the same goes for humans. You can't kill everyone with one stroke." A hint of surprise appeared in the falcon's eyes as he asked, "What are you going to the Imperial City for?" Qin Feiyang said, "To find someone. As long as you send me to the Imperial City, you can leave at any time." Suddenly, he seemed to have thought of something and said, "May I ask, how long have you been here?" The falcon said, 30 or 40 years. "That long?" Qin Feiyang was surprised. With a wave of his hand, he condensed the image of the woman and asked, "Have you seen her?" This was the only way to go to the Imperial City. If the lion-headed eagle's owner had really gone to the Imperial City, then the falcon might have seen her. "It's her!" the falcon exclaimed. Qin Feiyang's mind shook and said, "Tell me, where did she go?" The situation back then was very similar to today's. "I scared away her mount and wanted to eat her. But she was very strong. In front of her I was like an ant," the falcon said. Qin Feiyang had also heard this from the middle-aged man in Wohu City. Qin Feiyang asked, "Why didn't she kill you?" The falcon said, "She said that for the sake of her former companions, she spared my life and even gave me a lot of qi-gathering pills. Because of these qi-gathering pills, I was able to break through to the War King realm." Qin Feiyang was a little surprised. He never thought that the falcon and that woman would have such a relationship. As for that former companion, there was no doubt that it was the lion-headed eagle. The falcon continued, "She even lived here for a period of time. Later on, it was also me who sent her to the Imperial City." Qin Feiyang was wild with joy. The falcon said, "Back then she even left 4 words on this stone." 4 words? Qin Feiyang was startled. He looked at the stone beside the falcon and asked, "Can I take a look?" "No, all these years I have always treated her as my benefactor, and you, a human, are obviously not a good person. You definitely want to harm her." Not only did the falcon straightforwardly refuse, he even looked down on him without holding back. Qin Feiyang immediately flew into a rage out of humiliation, and shouted, "Which part of me looks like a bad person?" The falcon looked him up and down, and said seriously, "Everywhere." Qin Feiyang was furious. "I'll endure it." He took out the feather and said, "This is the feather of the lion-headed eagle." The lion-headed eagle was her former companion. "I was entrusted by the lion-headed eagle to come to the ruins to rescue her." "You're from the outside?" The falcon was bewildered. "Yes." Qin Feiyang nodded and said, "Your benefactor is also from the outside." The falcon lowered his head, his huge blood-red eyes flickering. After a long time, He looked up at Qin Feiyang and said, I can let you see, and I can also take you to the Imperial City, but you have to promise me that you will take me out of the ruins with you. This, Qin Feiyang hesitated for a moment, and said with a bitter smile. To be honest, even I am not confident that I can leave the ruins. The falcon said, Whether or not you are confident, take me with you when you leave. All right. Qin Feiyang nodded. The falcon retreated to the side. Qin Feiyang strode to the stone, and the 4 words immediately entered his sight. Every word was the size of a palm. There were traces of weathering. But he could still clearly see what was written. A father's love is like a mountain. It was these 4 words. Qin Feiyang felt as if a bolt from the blue had struck him, and his head was rumbling. His hands were also clenched tightly. His face was almost distorted. His eyes were also filled with pain and hatred. In his heart, there was a burst of anger that was frantically brewing. The falcon was startled. He stared at Qin Feiyang suspiciously. He was fine before. Why did he suddenly seem to have become a different person? Could these 4 words have something to do with him? Gradually, Qin Feiyang calmed down, and no longer looked at the 4 words. For that woman to leave such a sentence, it was enough to show that her coming to the ruins was definitely related to her father. The falcon glanced at the 4 words and asked, Human young man, are you all right? Qin Feiyang shook his head and said with a faint smile, There's no time to lose, let's go. All right. The falcon responded and rushed into the sky with Qin Feiyang, turning into a bloody light and quickly disappearing into the horizon. Royal City. This ancient city was located in the center of the ruins. Its scale was almost comparable to Yen City. But the degree of prosperity was naturally much worse. A few days later, Qin Feiyang walked out of a jungle and looked at the royal city from afar. The falcon did not follow and hid deep in the mountains. Because in the ruins, beasts were equivalent to food. Any beast would be hunted down and killed once it entered the sight of humans. Qin Feiyang looked for a moment, and then walked towards the gate of the royal city. The city wall did not have any traces of dilapidation. It was like a black python lying on the ground, emitting a cold aura. On the way, everyone he met was in a hurry. It was as if in their eyes, other than himself, anyone else was superfluous. Many people were also wearing shabby linen clothes. Moreover, disputes, killing, and plundering could be seen everywhere. And those onlookers also had cold faces. This meant that life in the royal city was also very cruel. And here there were no rules. As long as your fist was big enough, what you said was the truth. Kid, stand there for me. Qin Feiyang came to the gate and was about to enter the city, but the 2 guards at the gate suddenly shouted at him. What's the matter? Chapter 246. Don't you know the rules? One of the guards frowned and said, Rules. Qin Feiyang was puzzled. He smiled and said, This is my first time in the capital. Please enlighten me. First time? No wonder you look like a hothead. Every time you enter the capital, you have to pay a gold coin. The 2 guards looked at him with disdain in their eyes. 1. Qin Feiyang was stunned. This was the capital of the land of ruins. Wasn't it too cheap? If you don't have any gold coins, you can pay with body tempering pills. You should have some body tempering pills, right? Seeing that Qin Feiyang didn't take out any gold coins, the 2 guards thought that he was poor and couldn't take them out. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed. He took out 3 gold coins and said with a smile, 2 big brothers, these are all my savings. I'll give them all to you. The extra 2 gold coins can be used to treat 2 big brothers to a drink. The 2 guards looked at each other and kept them without hesitation. Kid, you're quite sensible. If you encounter any difficulties in the capital in the future, let us know. We'll help you if we can. The 2 guards' attitudes changed completely. They patted their chests and laughed. Qin Feiyang laughed secretly. Just 2 gold coins were enough to make the 2 of them so happy. There was a cute side to this ruined land. Brothers, I do have a matter that I would like to ask you about. Do you know her? Qin Feiyang waved his hand and the woman's image quickly condensed. Sir Ren. The 2 guards looked up and their faces were filled with horror. The surrounding people also looked over, their eyes filled with awe. Qin Feiyang was shocked. Was this woman in the capital now? And her status wasn't ordinary? How dare you blaspheme Sir Ren? Surrender immediately and await your punishment. The two guards immediately turned hostile as they stared at Qin Feiyong with sinister eyes. Blaspheme? Qin Feiyong stared blankly and asked in confusion. Brothers, when did I ever profane her? You're blaspheming Her Excellency by condensing her image. Someone in the crowd shouted. Qin Feiyong was dumbfounded. Was this considered blasphemy? Just how shocking was this woman's status in the capital? However, in his heart he was rather excited. He originally thought that it would take a lot of time and effort to find this woman. He did not expect to find a clue as soon as he arrived in the capital. Qin Feiyong waved his hand, and the image disappeared with the wind. He cupped his hands and apologized. Everyone, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean it. Apologies are useless. Gouge out your eyes and we'll let bygones be bygones. Everyone stared at him fiercely. Qin Feiyong raised his eyebrows. He held back his fury, turned his head to look at those two guards, and said with a smile, Big brothers, to be honest, I have some ties with Lord Ren. This time, little brother came to the capital in order to find Lord Ren. You know Sir Ren. The two guards didn't believe him. The others didn't believe it either. It's true. Qin Feiyong said solemnly, back then, Lord Ren took pity on me and saved my life. I'm here to repay his kindness. It took him a lot of persuasion and effort to convince the two guards. All right. Since this is your first time and you're so sensible, we won't pursue your mistake. However, I'm afraid you won't have a chance to repay his kindness. The two guards' expressions eased a lot. Why won't I have a chance? Qin Feiyong frowned. Could it be that this woman had an accident? Lord Ran has a noble status and won't meet a small fry like you. You'd better give up early. Yes, she's the youngest war emperor in the capital. Even the family heads in the capital have to wait for a year or so to meet her. The two guards said. War emperor. Qin Feiyong was secretly shocked. He cupped his hands and smiled. Even if I can't meet Lord Ren, I still want to walk around the capital and see the world. Go ahead and walk around. Be honest, otherwise, you might die on the streets. One of them waved his hand and said. Thank you for your reminder, big brother. Qin Feiyong cupped his hands and said a few words. Then, he strode through the city gate and stepped onto the streets of the capital. Bastard! How dare you block my way? Are you tired of living? In front. A young man in his 20s blocked the path of a burly man. In the end, he was slapped to death by the burly man. This is what I saw first. How dare you snatch it? Go to hell. Soon. In a shop not far away, a bloody corpse flew out and landed on the street. Killing was really everywhere. Qin Feiyong walked all the way. In less than an hour, he met more than 10 people who were killed. Moreover, it was all because of some trivial matters. Everyone here seemed to be full of hostility. Qin Feiyong was already used to it. The path of cultivation was originally so cruel. Who could he blame? He only cared that he was too weak and his skills were inferior. After randomly finding a restaurant, Qin Feiyong found a waiter and asked around. Finally, he found out about the woman's situation. It turned out that the woman was called Ran Wushuang. Moreover, she was the personal disciple of the King of Ruins. The King of Ruins was the person who controlled the entire ruins. He was equivalent to the Emperor of the Ruins. Ran Wushuang was now living in the palace of the capital. After obtaining this information, Qin Feiyong did not delay and directly rushed to the palace. The palace was located in the center of the capital, covering an area of 1 mile. Although the palace was like an ancient castle, it was very majestic and imposing. In front of the palace gate, there were 2 rows of guards. There were 10 of them. Each of them was wearing black armor and holding a 7-feet-long halberd. Their eyes were as cold as ice and their bodies were filled with a murderous aura. Stop. The palace is a restricted area. You are not allowed to trespass. Otherwise, you will be killed without mercy. When Qin Feiyong arrived, the 2 guards shouted sternly. 2 halberds were placed in front of Qin Feiyong. The sharp blades emitted a piercing sharpness. Qin Feiyong cupped his hands and said, Lords, I would like to see Lord Ran Wushuang. Is Lord Ren someone you can see? Scram back to where you came from. Don't pester endlessly here. The 2 of them shouted. Qin Feiyong frowned, took out the feather, and handed it to the 2 of them with both hands. Please give this feather to Lord Ren. When she sees this feather, she will definitely meet me, however. Without waiting for Qin Feiyong to finish speaking, the guard on the left waved his halberd forcefully. The sharp blade instantly split the feather into two. Qin Feiyong's face instantly darkened. The guard shouted, "If you don't scram, you will end up like this feather." Qin Feiyong grabbed the half feather, looked coldly at the guard, and then looked up at the palace gate. "You're courting death." Seeing this, the guard's murderous aura surged. He waved his halberd with all his might and chopped towards Qin Feiyong's waist. Clang! Qin Feiyong's eyes flashed coldly. He took out the Xueqi at lightning speed and met the attack head-on. Sparks flew everywhere. The halberd was split into two. So sharp! The 10 guards were dumbfounded and full of shock. Qin Feiyong said coldly, "Since entering the ruins, I have been enduring. I advise you not to push your luck." "How dare you? How dare you behave so atrociously in front of the palace gate? You are really courting death." The guard whose halberd had been chopped in two exploded with a terrifying aura. His vital energy surged out like a tide. "Only a Wu Zong? Then why are you still so arrogant?" Qin Feiyong raised his eyebrows and flew into a rage. He used the shifting smoke step and immediately turned into a shadow. Seeing his vital energy, Qin Feiyong judged the guard's strength. As long as he was not a warlord, he was not afraid. Slap! Almost in the next moment, the guard's face was slapped hard. He was even sent flying. His face was instantly swollen, and his teeth were shattered. Blood spurted out of his mouth. This speed! The remaining 9 guards were in disbelief. Only a martial ancestor is guarding the gates of the imperial palace. How pathetic is your wasteland! Qin Feiyong stood proudly, his face full of contempt. The 9 guards were furious. In an instant, they exploded with a terrifying aura and a shocking murderous aura. Clang! They held black halberds in their hands and charged towards Qin Feiyong in unison. Humph! Qin Feiyong snorted, his lips curled into a mocking smile. He used the shifting smoke step to the extreme. The Xueqi in his hand was invincible. Accompanied by the ear-piercing sound of metal, in less than 10 breaths, the halberds in the hands of the 9 guards were all scrapped. So powerful. Chapter 247. Ah! Hundreds of breaths passed. The remaining 8 guards also followed in the footsteps of that person and had an arm cut off. The wound was flat and blood was spurting out wildly. The crowd on the street was so shocked that their eyeballs almost popped out. Alone, he fought fiercely against the 9 great guards. In the end, the 9 guards were all seriously injured and fell to the ground, but this man was unscathed. His astonishing battle instincts left others in the dust. Qin Feiyong stabilized his figure with one step. His whole body was dripping with blood, like a blood-soaked war god. The people present spontaneously felt a sense of fear in their hearts. Glancing at the 10 guards, Qin Feiyong stepped forward and walked toward the king of the palace. His whole person was calm and collected. This move immediately caused a commotion. He actually broke into the palace. One must know that the palace was a forbidden area in the Land of Ruins, sacred and inviolable. Without the permission of the King of Ruins, no one could trespass. Throughout history, no one who dared to trespass into the palace had survived. Because this was an offense, blasphemy, and a challenge to the majesty of the king. If I were you, I would choose to kneel down and beg for mercy. At this moment, a burly man in black armor walked out of the palace gate with a majestic gait. His eyes were incomparably cold. It's Commander Rong. He's a genuine battle king. This man has angered him. Today he will definitely die. The crowd looked at the burly man in black armor in fear. Commander Rong. Qin Feiyong stopped and heard the discussion behind him. He looked at the burly man in black armor and said lightly, "It's a pity that I'm not you. You're very bold. Among the young people I've ever seen, you're the first." Commander Rong's eyes surged with cold light. "Thank you for the compliment." Qin Feiyong looked very honored. Commander Rong was not angry. The corners of his mouth lifted slightly. "Once you enter the palace, you won't be able to walk out alive. Follow me if you have the guts." After saying that, Commander Rong turned and walked into the palace gate. "This dragon's pool and tiger's den, I really want to go in and see." Qin Feiyong followed in without hesitation. You really dare to come in? Commander Rong turned around and looked at him in shock. At worst, I'll just die. What's there to be afraid of? Qin Feiyong faintly smiled. He glanced around and shook his head. I've seen many palaces, but this is the first time I've seen one as unsightly as this. I hope you can continue to be arrogant. Commander Rong sneered and turned to walk towards a palace. When he walked in, he saw the words Grand Commander engraved at the top of the hall. The doors of the palace were tightly shut. There was no one guarding it either. This proved that the commander was very confident in his strength. Commander Rong stood in front of the door and bowed as he said, Commander, this subordinate requests an audience. Clang. The door opened. It was a little dark inside. The decorations were nothing compared to the exterior. However, in the ruins where resources were scarce, it could definitely be considered luxurious. A middle-aged man sat in front of him. He wore a long black robe and had thick eyebrows and big eyes. He looked dignified without being angry. Commander Rong walked into the main hall. Qin Feiyong followed in and looked around curiously. Commander Rong walked to the front of the Grand Commander and bowed. Grand Commander, this person trespassed the palace and injured our guards. Please punish him. The Grand Commander glanced at Qin Feiyong. Seeing that Qin Feiyong was only looking around and did not bow to him, he was immediately displeased. Just kill such a person. Why did you bring him here? Do you think I have nothing better to do? The Grand Commander shouted as a cold light flashed in his eyes. Commander Rong hurriedly said, There's a reason for this. Please calm down, Grand Commander. Speak. The Grand Commander was clearly impatient. This person has a dagger that can easily break the guards' halberds. Furthermore, not only does he have killing martial techniques, but he also has auxiliary martial techniques. According to my observations, they are all perfect martial techniques. He also has the cultivation of a 6-star martial ancestor. Therefore, I conclude that he has just arrived at the ruins. Commander Rong said respectfully. The Grand Commander was shocked. He looked at Qin Feiyong again and shouted, Answer me, what is your name? How old are you now? What is your purpose of coming to the ruins? Qin Feiyong, just turned 16. As for my purpose of coming to the ruins, it has nothing to do with you. Qin Feiyong said lightly. A 16-year-old 6-star martial ancestor. The Grand Commander's body trembled and his eyes shone brightly. He said, Your identity outside must not be simple. Qin Feiyong said, It's all right. I don't want to talk nonsense with you. I want to see Ren Wushuang. You're here for Ren Wushuang? The Grand Commander frowned and said, Give me the dagger and your martial techniques. I will let you see Ren Wushuang. Do you think that's possible? Qin Feiyong finally looked at the Grand Commander and smiled mockingly. Humph. I don't care what your identity is outside. As long as you come to the ruins, you have to be obedient. Otherwise, no matter how talented you are, there will be no place for you. The Grand Commander snorted coldly. Qin Feiyong shrugged and said, I don't plan to stay here forever. Why would I need a place to stay? Haha. The Grand Commander and Commander Rong laughed as if they had heard the funniest joke in the world. Their laughter was full of disdain and sarcasm. Commander Rong said, Kid, you're not thinking of leaving the ruins, are you? Why? Can't I? Qin Feiyong said. Yes, of course you can. Unfortunately, you're just daydreaming. The ruins are surrounded by a black abyss. Once you enter, you will never be able to get out. You should accept reality and give up. The two commanders sneered. Everyone who entered the land of ruins wanted to leave, including them. But what happened in the end? They either died in the black abyss or were crushed into pieces by the gravity. Not a single one of them succeeded. Moreover, the King of Ruins would not allow anyone to leave the ruins. This was an iron law that no one could disobey. Qin Feiyong glanced at the two indifferently. He was too lazy to talk nonsense with them. He turned around and ran out of the hall. Boom. Seeing this, the Grand Commander was furious. A terrifying aura erupted like a volcano. He got up, took a step, and landed outside the hall. Qin Feiyong had already jumped onto the roof at this time. Standing at the highest point of the roof, he grinned at the Grand Commander and said, Don't worry, I won't run away. What are you going to do? The Grand Commander frowned with a puzzled look. Run up to see the scenery? Qin Feiyong cleared his throat and shouted, Ren Wushuang, lion-headed eagle asked me to find you. Come out. The Grand Commander's face suddenly sank. Swish. With a flash, he landed beside Qin Feiyong. His big hand was like an eagle's claw, grabbing at Qin Feiyong's arm. As long as he could take down this boy first, the dagger would be his. Even Ren Wushuang would not be able to take it away. He was about to succeed. However, the boy in front of him suddenly disappeared without a trace. The Grand Commander's expression stiffened. He hurriedly scanned the surroundings, his eyes full of surprise. Commander Rong below was even more surprised. Disappeared in an instant. There was no sign at all. How did this boy do it? Was this the reason he dared to break into the palace? Whoosh! In a palace not far away, a snow-white figure flew into the air. She was tall, her skin was as white as snow, and her small waist was slim. Her chest rose and fell with her breathing. It could be described as magnificent. Her limpid eyes were filled with a bright luster, and there was a trace of natural charm that tugged at one's heartstrings. This was a woman who was indescribably beautiful. Her appearance even added a bit of color to this dark and gloomy world. That's right. She was the master of the lion-head eagle, Ren Wushuang. Whoosh! Her long dress fluttered as she landed opposite the Grand Commander. Her beautiful eyebrows furrowed slightly as she asked, Where is the person who called me just now? The Grand Commander said coldly, He trespassed into the palace and has been killed by me. Ren Wushuang's eyes turned cold. It was as if the place had suddenly turned into a world of ice and snow. Not to mention Commander Rong, even the Grand Commander, who was also a war emperor, could not help but feel a chill in his heart at this moment. Whoosh! But at this moment, Qin Feiyong appeared out of thin air and grinned. Grand Commander, you don't have the ability to kill me yet. You? The Grand Commander was dumbfounded. Why did he appear out of thin air again? He originally thought that Qin Feiyong had already left. But he did not expect that not only was he still there, but he also heard his words. His lie was exposed by Qin Feiyong, and he was a little angry out of embarrassment. Qin Feiyong hurriedly distanced himself from him and looked up at Ren Wushuang. A trace of amazement flashed across his eyes. The shadow condensed by the lion-headed eagle was already beautiful enough, but the real person was even more beautiful. Sure enough, the person lived up to his name. Whether it was talent or appearance, they were both peerless. Ren Wushuang sized up Qin Feiyong for a moment and asked, Are you looking for me? Her throat was clear and elegant, like the sound of nature. Qin Feiyong took out the severed feather. As soon as the feather appeared, it emitted a faint brilliance. It really is her. Qin Feiyong muttered. Ren Wushuang stretched out her jade-like hand, and the feather flew over and landed in her palm. Looking at the feather in her palm, her eyes gradually became a little sad. She asked, Is it okay now? Qin Feiyong smiled faintly and said, It's living quite well, and its strength is also stronger than yours. It's all expected. Ren Wushuang whispered. The essence qi in the ruins was thin and resources were scarce. She was already very lucky to be able to break through to the war emperor. Suddenly, she put away the feather, looked at the Grand Commander and said coldly, This child is my old acquaintance. If you dare to hurt him, I will destroy you. Finished. Without waiting for the Grand Commander's response, he brought Qin Feiyong and flew towards the palace not far away. Aren't you just relying on the fact that you're the king's disciple? What are you so proud of? The Grand Commander coldly snorted and jumped down from the roof. He whispered to Commander Rong, but no one knew what he was mumbling about. Qin Feiyong laughed. That Grand Commander seems to be on bad terms with you? This person is very jealous. Seeing that I am in the palace and am treated better than him, he is very unconvinced. His methods are also very despicable. You have to be careful. Ren Wushuang laughed, and brought Qin Feiyong directly into the palace. Chapter 248. Inside the palace. In front of a tea table, Ren Wushuang made tea and said with a smile, You must have suffered a lot along the way. Qin Feiyong sat opposite her and shook his head with a smile. It's others who have suffered, but the people and things I saw along the way are really sad. Ren Wushuang pushed a teacup in front of Qin Feiyong and sighed. This is the land of ruins. You will slowly get used to it. Qin Feiyong picked up the teacup and tasted it a little. He frowned and said, "It tastes so bad?" The tea was very bitter. It was as if he was eating Chinese gold thread. Ren Wuxuang shook her head and laughed. "Your reaction now is exactly the same as my reaction back then. But this is already the best tea in the land of ruins. Just make do with it." Qin Feiyong put down the teacup and asked, "Are you going to stay here for the rest of your life?" "What else can I do? In fact, I also want to leave, but I have tried many ways, but I can't pass the black abyss." There was a trace of helplessness on Ren Wuxuang's face. Qin Feiyong was silent for a while, and then said, "Have you found your father?" Ren Wuxuang frowned. Qin Feiyong said, "I saw the 4 words you left in the falcon's nest." Ren Wuxuang suddenly understood and shook her head. "I didn't find him." "Haven't you been here for more than 20 years? Qin Feiyong was surprised. "All these years, I have never given up looking for him. However, I have searched all the places in the land of ruins that can be found, but I still found nothing." On Ren Wuxuang's face, there was an unresolvable sadness. Qin Feiyong said, "Have you ever thought that he is dead somewhere?" Ren Wuxuang nodded. "I've thought about it, but I won't give up until I see the skeleton." Qin Feiyong looked at her with a complicated expression and sighed. "In order to find him, you went through so much trouble to come here and put yourself in such a desperate situation. I want to ask you, is it worth it?" "Worth it?" Ren Wuxuang nodded without hesitation. "Is it really worth it?" Qin Feiyong asked again. However, he was not asking Ren Wuxuang. He was asking his own heart. Ren Wuxuang noticed the change in his mood, and a trace of surprise flashed through his eyes. She picked up the teacup, took a sip, and said with a smile, "There are some things that will only make you feel worse if you keep it in your heart. It's better to find someone you trust to confide in." Qin Feiyong stared blankly for a moment before he quickly regained his senses. He smiled faintly and said, "How should I address you? Senior? Or master?" Ren Wuxuang sighed. "Just call me sister. In the future, in the land of ruins, I will give you the best cultivation environment and resources. After all, it is because of me that you came here." Qin Feiyong grinned. Ren Wuxuang was not only beautiful, but also powerful. The most important thing was that she did not put on airs. This sister was worth having. However, he did not plan to stay in the land of ruins forever. Xuan was still waiting for him to solve the problem. "Sister, I want to ask you a question." Qin Feiyong called out her name smoothly, without the slightest sense of unfamiliarity. "Ask away," Ren Wuxuang said with a smile. Qin Feiyong said, "If I can leave the land of ruins," before he could finish, Ren Wuxuang shook her head and said, "It's impossible. Don't waste your energy and time. Just stay here." "Can you let me finish?" Qin Feiyong smiled bitterly and said, "I'm just saying if you can leave. If you can leave, are you willing to give up looking for your father and leave with me?" Ren Wuxuang pondered for a moment and sighed. "After so many years of searching, I still can't find him. If I can really leave, I will choose to leave." Qin Feiyong got up and said, "That's enough. Let's go." "Go." Ren Wuxuang was stunned and said in surprise, "Do you really have a way to leave the land of ruins?" "No." Qin Feiyong shook his head and said with a faint smile, "When the boat reaches the bridge, it will cross the bridge. Let's go to the iron chain bridge first, and then slowly think of a way." Ren Wuxuang was a little annoyed. He did not have the slightest confidence and rashly took the risk. Wasn't this nonsense? "I still have a lot of unfulfilled wishes. I don't want to be trapped in this place for the rest of my life. Even if I die on the iron chain bridge, I still want to try it." Qin Feiyong's eyes were very determined. "This..." Ren Wuxuang hesitated. "My dear sister, don't think about it. Let's go. You don't want to live like this for the rest of your life." Qin Feiyong urged. "Okay, I will go with you and let you completely give up." Ren Wuxuang got up, his face full of helplessness. "In my dictionary, there is no such word as give up." Qin Feiyong was full of confidence. Ren Wuxuang shook his head and laughed. With a wave of his hand, he rolled up Qin Feiyong and turned into a stream of light, flying outside. Everyone who had just entered the land of ruins would be like Qin Feiyong, full of enthusiasm and confidence. But the result was no exception. All of them were buried in the black abyss. Those who survived were only left with despair. As soon as they flew out before they could leave the palace, the Grand Commander flew up to the sky in front of them and said indifferently, "The two of you, where are you going?" "It has something to do with you?" Ran Wushuang's face immediately turned cold. The Grand Commander said, "If you want to leave the land of ruins, it must have something to do with me. After all, I am the Grand Commander of the land of ruins and I have to maintain order here." Qin Feiyong said coldly, "Sister just wants to take me for a stroll nearby. Why do you care?" "Sister?" The Grand Commander was stunned and said playfully, "Ran Wushuang, didn't you say that he is an old friend of yours? How did he become your brother?" Ran Wushuang said indifferently, "If you have the time to care about my business, why don't you go and train those useless people?" Qin Feiyong said, "Yes, a total of 10 guards can't even stop a small 6-star martial ancestor like me. I really don't know how you became the Grand Commander." The Grand Commander's face darkened. "Not convinced? What kind of talent can you teach with your character? Why don't you just give me the position of Grand Commander? I promise I will do better than you." Qin Feiyong pursed his lips and said disdainfully. Boom! A terrifying aura burst out with a roar. The Grand Commander's gloomy eyes seemed to want to pull out Qin Feiyong's tendons and skin him alive. "Don't pretend to be powerful in front of me." Ran Wushuang looked at him indifferently and left with Qin Feiyong, "Bitch." The Grand Commander stared at the two of them coldly. Shwa! He turned into a stream of light and followed behind Qin Feiyong and Qin Yu. "Sister, what should we do?" Qin Feiyong frowned. Ren Wushuang said, "Don't worry. He is the Grand Commander of the Guards and is busy with work. He can't always follow you." Qin Feiyong nodded and said with a smile, "I will take you to see an old friend first." Ren Wushuang was puzzled. Qin Feiyong pointed to the mountains ahead and said with a smile, "Fly over there." A moment later, they stopped above a gigantic peak. Screech! The blood-colored falcon flapped its wings and flew in front of the two of them with a gust of wind. The falcon looked at Ren Wushuang and said excitedly, "Sir, I finally meet you again." Ren Wushuang was surprised. Qin Feiyong said, "It was the one who brought me to the capital." Ren Wushuang nodded and reached out with his jade-like arm to stroke the falcon's head and said with a smile, "Long time no see, Xueqi. You still remember me?" Xueqi was flattered. Ren Wushuang smiled and waved his hand. "Go back. This place is not suitable for you to live." Xueqing's pupils constricted and he looked at Qin Feiyong for help. Qin Feiyong glanced at the commander behind and said in a low voice, "Sister, I promised him that I would take him away from the ruins." Ren Wushuang frowned. "You are not even sure, so you promised others first. This is a very irresponsible attitude, do you know?" Qin Feiyong smiled bitterly. This woman really scolded him as if he was her younger brother. "Fine, you can take us for a stroll around." Ren Wushuang grabbed Qin Feiyong and landed on the back of Xueqi. Screech! Xueqi let out a high-pitched screech, spread its blood-colored wings, and flew away. Ran Wushuang also tirelessly introduced everything about the ruins to Qin Feiyong. Time flew by. Half a day passed. The commander at the back frowned. Was it really just a simple stroll? He pondered for a moment. His eyes flashed and he turned and left quickly. Qin Feiyong said, "Sister, he's gone." Ran Wushuang smiled and said, "Don't worry, I know this person's character best. He won't leave so easily. He must be hiding in the dark to watch us." Qin Feiyong intentionally or unintentionally glanced below, but did not see the commander. However, since Ren Wushuang said so, there must be such a thing. Until evening, the commander flew out from the dense forest below and disappeared into the night sky like lightning. "This person is quite patient." Qin Feiyong laughed. "We can go to the Iron Chain Bridge now, but little brother, you have to promise me in advance that if you are not completely sure, don't take risks." Ran Wushuang said with a serious expression. Qin Feiyong nodded. After a night of rushing, the next morning, the 2 men and 1 beast finally arrived in front of the Iron Chain Bridge. The blood left by the black-clothed old man had disappeared. The black hurricane howled, as if it was formed by sharp blades, causing people to be intimidated by it. Qin Feiyong glanced at the black abyss, and then looked at the sky, and said in a deep voice, "To leave, first of all, we have to figure out the source of gravity." "Sister, Have you checked it? Yes, I have. Ran Wushuang nodded and said, It's a pity that I haven't found any results. Qin Feiyong frowned, pondered for a moment, and said, There is no gravity when we enter the ruins, but there is gravity when we go out. Why do I feel like someone is secretly controlling it? Control. Ren Wushuang's eyes trembled. Sister, have you thought of anything? Qin Feiyong asked. Ren Wushuang said, No, I'm just thinking that if there is someone secretly controlling it, then this person's strength must have reached the peak. I'm just guessing. Don't take it seriously. Qin Feiyong smiled and took out Chang Shui from his Chengkuan bag. Hey! Ren Wushuang's eyes suddenly fell on Chang Shui, and he said in surprise, This dagger is not simple. Where did you get it? Sister, you have a good eye. Chapter 249. Seeing this, Ren Wushuang's face changed dramatically. She dragged Qin Feiyong back and said angrily, What are you doing? Do you want to die? Qin Feiyong said, Chang Shui was left to me by my mother. It's very mysterious. I have a hunch that it can help me. Ren Wushuang said, Since it's left to you by your mother, you should cherish it more. If it's shattered by gravity, how will you face your mother in the future? This, Qin Feiyong hesitated for a moment, put away Chang Shui, and stretched out his arm again. With a thought, the ancient castle suddenly rushed out from between his eyebrows and floated above his palm. Another ancient mysterious treasure? Ren Wushuang was surprised. It was not until now that she realized that her new brother seemed to have a very extraordinary background. Swish! Qin Feiyong took out Wolf King, Fatso, and Lu Hong. Ran Wushuang and Blood Eagle were both surprised. Qin Feiyong said with a smile, Sister, I haven't told you yet. This ancient castle is a treasure that can hide. Ran Wushuang said in surprise. In other words, it's a space treasure? Qin Feiyong nodded. So beautiful. As soon as Fatso saw Ran Wushuang, he immediately became infatuated. How could there be such a beautiful woman in the world? Even Lu Hong was a little stunned. Hey, you're drooling on the ground. Wolf King rolled his eyes. What a good-for-nothing. Wasn't it just a woman? Was there a need to be so exaggerated? Fatso murmured, If I die under a peony, I'll be a romantic ghost. Fat Lord finally understood the true meaning of this sentence today. Qin Feiyong's veins on his forehead bulged. He knocked Fatso's head hard and shouted, Call me Lord. Sir. Fatso was stunned for a moment before he said angrily, Why is it that you can call her sister, but Fat Lord has to call her master? Fat Lord protested. This is unfair. Qin Feiyong chuckled and said, You want fairness, right? White-eyed wolf, show him what fairness is. Fatso hurriedly hid behind Ran Wushuang. Sister Wushuang, from now on, you are my real sister. You must protect your little brother. Look at my body. It was bullied by boss and brother wolf. I'm so pitiful. No one cares for me, no one loves me. He looked aggrieved and wanted to take advantage of her. Ran Wushuang smiled and said, It's not a problem to protect you, but if you don't behave, I will chop off your perverted hands. Fatso felt a chill run down his spine. He quickly retracted his hands and laughed awkwardly. Hee. Fatso, I'll help you lose weight. So that you won't say that I and little Qin Zi bullied you. Wolf King walked towards Fatso with bad intentions. Losing weight is a small matter. I don't need your help, Brother Wolf. Fatso hurriedly retreated. Losing weight is not a small matter. I must help you. Wolf King smiled slyly. Fatso couldn't help but feel his scalp tingle. He hurriedly ran away. Bastard, why are you running? How dare you say that I and little Qin Zi bullied you? You must be tired of living. Today, I'm going to bully you for once. Wolf King was not willing to give up. He chased after him and beat him up. Fatso's wails resounded through the sky. Ren Wushuang was full of smiles. He hadn't seen such a warm scene in a long time. Lu Hong glanced at the ancient castle and frowned. The alchemy scripture and the 6-word formula are in the ancient castle. Isn't it too risky for you to do this? I have to try. Do you want to stay here for the rest of your life? Qin Feiyong said. I don't want to, but Lu Hong shook her head. She wanted to persuade him again. Qin Feiyong smiled. Don't worry. The ancient castle is mysterious. Even an 8-star combat emperor can't do anything about it. It will definitely be able to withstand the gravity. No, it's better to use those ribs than risk the ancient castle. Anyway, it doesn't matter if the ribs are broken. Lu Hong persisted in her objection. Yes, we can try using the ribs. Why didn't I think of that? Qin Feiyong couldn't wait to run up and kiss Lu Hong's face. He hurriedly put away the ancient castle and took out a rib. This human bone. Ren Wushuang's eyes widened. They were filled with disbelief. With her eyesight, she could tell that this rib was extraordinary at a glance. Sister, I'll explain it to you slowly after we escape. Qin Feiyong smiled. Let me do it. My cultivation is stronger than yours. If there's an accident, I can deal with it in time. Ran Wushuang took the rib from Qin Feiyong's hands overbearingly and asked Qin Feiyong and the others to retreat far away. Lu Hong chuckled. You've got a good sister. Qin Feiyong nodded. Although he had only met Ren Wushuang yesterday, he could clearly feel her concern for him. They retreated more than 10 meters away and looked at Ren Wushuang nervously. Ran Wushuang looked at the rib and then at the iron chain bridge. She took a deep breath and grabbed one end of the rib and moved closer to the iron chain bridge. Boom! At that moment, a terrifying gravitational force pressed down. Ran Wushuang's delicate body trembled. Her entire arm was suddenly torn open. She also lost her balance and fell into the abyss. Sister! Qin Feiyong's expression changed and hurriedly ran up. But at this moment, all of a sudden, the rib bone blossomed with dazzling light. The gravitational force disappeared in an instant. Qin Feiyong grabbed Ren Wushuang's wrist and pulled her back. I'm fine. Ren Wushuang waved her hand at Qin Feiyong and looked at the rib in surprise. The rib was suspended above the iron chain bridge. It was shining brightly like a full moon, emitting an amazing aura. It was like a demonic ancestor had appeared in the world, intimidating this black abyss that made people tremble in fear upon hearing its name. Qin Feiyong and Lu Hong also looked at this scene in disbelief. Wolf King and Fatso also ran over, their faces full of shock. They all knew that the owner of the rib was very powerful when he was alive, but they didn't expect him to be so heaven-defying. Qin Feiyong tentatively stretched out his hand, and was pleasantly surprised to find that the place covered by the light did not feel the slightest bit of gravity. He smiled and said, Sister, I didn't let you down. Ren Wushuang fell silent. Qin Feiyong waved his hand and put Wolf King, Fatso, and Lu Hong into the castle. As for the Blood Eagle, its body was too big to fit in the castle. Qin Feiyong looked at the rib and looked at Ren Wushuang with a smile. If you don't want to leave, I'll come to pick you up after we find your father, or I'll leave a rib for you. Ran Wushuang turned around and scanned the dark land in front of her. There was a hint of sadness in her eyes. Let's go. A moment later, she resolutely turned around and stepped onto the iron chain bridge with Qin Feiyong and the Blood Eagle. Clatter. The iron chain trembled and made a loud ear-piercing sound. Ran Wushuang grabbed the rib and walked as if it was flat ground. The ruins gradually disappeared behind them. Feiyong, where did you get this human bone? Ran Wushuang curiously asked. The Desert of Death. Qin Feiyong did not hide anything and briefly explained the situation at that time. Ran Wushuang said, I didn't expect there to be such a place in the county of Yen. When I have time, I must go and have a look. Boom. Woo-woo. Before he finished speaking, a black storm rushed out from the abyss below and swept towards Qin Feiyong and the others. How could this be? Ren Wushuang was surprised. However, although the black storm was terrifying, it could not break through the defense of the rib. The white light was like an iron wall, protecting Qin Feiyong and the others. Qin Feiyong glanced down and said in a deep voice, It seems that as I guessed, someone is controlling these storms and gravity and doesn't want us to leave. Ren Wushuang shouted, Who is it? Please come out and meet me. His voice was transmitted into the abyss and echoed. But after waiting for a long time, there was no response. The Blood Eagle urged, Sir, don't worry about whether someone is controlling it or not. Let's go quickly. Qin Feiyong nodded. The dark sky, the whistling hurricane, and the trembling iron chain formed a very strange atmosphere that made people unable to help but feel scared. Ran Wushuang withdrew his gaze and quickly took them to the other side. However, they did not notice. In the black hurricane in the distance, a tall figure was faintly discernible. Like a ghost, He was watching them leave. On the other side of the iron chain bridge, the lion-headed eagle turned into the size of a palm and squatted on a big tree, looking at the ruins on the other side. It's been more than a month. I wonder if that human brat has found Master. It whispered to itself. There was some apprehension in its eyes, some anticipation, and more despair. Although it let Qin Feiyong enter the ruins, it was not very confident in Qin Feiyong. Suddenly, it noticed that a white light appeared on the iron chain bridge. How can there be light? It rose into the air and stared at the white light. Gradually, its eyes were filled with ecstasy. It saw Qin Feiyong, a strange blood eagle, and a woman. That woman's face could not be more familiar, even unforgettable. It's Master. It's really Master. She's back. The lion-headed eagle was ecstatic. It flew to the front of the iron chain bridge and stared at the approaching Ran Wushuang. Tears flowed from the corners of its eyes. Qin Feiyong said with a smile, "Sister, look, the lion-headed eagle is waiting for you." Ran Wushuang's beautiful eyes were also filled with mist, blurring her vision. Dozens of breaths passed. Qin Feiyong, Ran Wushuang, and the blood eagle landed steadily on the solid ground. Master. The lion-headed eagle immediately spread its wings and flew into Ran Wushuang's arms. Little guy, it's been hard on you all these years. Ran Wushuang was a little sobbing as she stroked the lion-headed eagle's head. No, no, no. As long as I can save Master, it's worth it. The lion-headed eagle shook its head. It had a deep dependence on Ran Wushuang. At the same time, the blood eagle also howled excitedly. This is sunlight. This is the air outside. This is the outside world. It's out, it's finally out. It spread its huge wings and flew happily in the sky, enjoying the warmth brought to it by the sunlight. It was not blamed, because it had lived for so long, but it was the first time it saw sunlight. Qin Feiyong smiled and turned to look at the ruins. He seemed to have made a decision in his heart, and there was a touch of determination in his eyes. Ran Wushuang glanced at Qin Feiyong and also raised his head to look. He sighed. It's not an easy task to liberate the ruins. Qin Feiyong nodded. It was indeed unrealistic to rescue all the people in the ruins. Taking a step back, even if they could be rescued, the people of the 18 counties would not accept them. If they can't be rescued, then one day, I will personally bury the ruins. Qin Feiyong said.